Chapter 835. Mystic Moon Holy City Lease reading Omicron in Novel Cool. Omicron M. Li Lingtian spent the rest of his time cultivating and comprehending the cultivation method and divine power. Refining medicinal pills and raising his cultivation, time passed very quickly. As the days passed, Li Lingtian's cultivation base improved rapidly, and he had reached the peak of the second heaven martial saint realm. Tang Qingyue and the rest had already reached the fifth heaven martial emperor realm. With their cultivation, they were already able to help Li Lingtian. If they were to stand alone, they would not be of much help. Instead, they would only be a burden. However, if the five of them were to join forces, their might would be so great that even the martial god would not dare to resist them easily. Coupled with Xianyuan Yingying's strength, the six of them had become Li Lingtian's greatest helpers. During this period of time, the Xiaoyao dynasty was also invincible. Wherever he went, he was met with submission. After all, the carefree dynasty was too powerful, and Li Lingtian's reputation was like a thunderclap ringing in their ears. The Mystic Moon Empire didn't even have the slightest resistance. This situation puzzled the experts and army of the carefree dynasty, as well as the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire. When the news reached Li Lingtian and the others, they were puzzled. 2 million troops are approaching the Mystic Moon Holy City, and the Mystic Moon Empire isn't resisting at all. It's indeed strange. Why don't we head to the Mystic Moon Sacred City first? Shun Mayer gave Li Lingtian a suggestion after she relayed the news to him. It is indeed strange. The Mystic Moon Empire isn't a kingdom, and its power is terrifying. No matter how strong the free and unfettered empire is, we're still no match for the Mystic Moon Empire. Furthermore, there are countless martial god experts in the Mystic Moon Empire. These martial god experts naturally won't fear me. Li Lingtian was puzzled as well. He found the whole thing odd. However, things had already reached this point, so it was not good to retreat. Whether it's the strength of our army or the strength of our experts, our Xiaoyao Empire can't compare to the Mystic Moon Empire. Moreover, the Mystic Moon Empire hasn't made any moves, so it's obvious that they've been preserving their strength. The only person who can defeat the Mystic Moon Empire is you. A powerful warrior can decide the outcome of a battle. Shun Mayer looked at Li Lingtian and spoke in a serious tone. During this period of time, although the Xiaoyao dynasty army and experts were extremely excited, they were tired of the battle. They all hoped to end the war as soon as possible. Only after the war was over could they cultivate seriously. Moreover, their goal was to unify the Black Continent and obtain more resources and backers. They would use their own forces to become their backers. Send the order that the war god will head to the Mystic Moon Sacred City. This matter has to be resolved. Li Lingtian said calmly as he gestured for Shun Mayer to pass on the order. Thinking about how he would see the woman in white after conquering the Mystic Moon Empire, he felt excited because she had news of Yun Yaoyao. Although the woman in white didn't say it clearly, it was clear enough. After a few years, this day had finally arrived. The Xiaoyao Empire army had a total of 100 million soldiers, and all of them had arrived at the Mystic Moon Sacred City. The world was shaken. Although this was already expected, an empire being surrounded by soldiers still shook the world. Compared to Xiaoyao Sacred City, Xinyue Sacred City was many times stronger. Even if the free and unfettered empire's army was at the city gates, the Mystic Moon Sacred City was still extremely calm, as if nothing had happened. The war in the Xiaoyao dynasty has lasted for many years, and this day has finally arrived. Marshal Saint Ming Luo looked at the Mystic Moon Sacred City thousands of miles away. She had a faint smile on her face, but there was a trace of regret in her eyes, because in the past few years, the war had already worn away his blood. At the same time, he was looking forward to this day because he knew that he could only let go of everything after the battle ended. When the time came, he would cultivate with Li Lingtian. Even though he was now in charge of the three armies and looked glorious on the surface, he had always been looking forward to being Li Lingtian's bodyguard. This day has finally arrived. After the war in the Mystic Moon Empire, I believe the end of the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire won't be far. After the war in the Mystic Continent is resolved, we can relax. Marshal Saint Yunhao had the same expression as Marshal Saint Ming Luo. They were in the same mood. After a few years, the Xiaoyao dynasty had swept the world and finally arrived in front of the Mystic Moon Empire. This was the final battle against the Empire. As long as Li Lingtian arrived, he would be able to wipe out the Mystic Moon Empire. Let's wait for the young master to arrive. He was the most annoyed by the commander. His personality was to kill, but after he became the commander, he couldn't kill willfully. He had to prioritize the overall situation. Now there was hope in front of him. As long as the battle was over, he could give up this position and cultivate in peace. The news has already been sent to the young master. I believe the young master will arrive soon. Marshal Saint Ming Luo looked into the distance in anticipation of Li Lingtian's appearance. Rumble. A moment later, a rumbling sound could be heard in the sky. This sound was extremely familiar. It was the sound of the war god. In the sky, a huge silver monster appeared in the eyes of all the experts. In an instant, the 10,000-strong army bombarded the defensive formation of the Mystic Moon Sacred City. The army seemed to be in disorder, but when they attacked, they were orderly and without any disorder. Moreover, every attack was carried out by tens of thousands of experts. Tens of thousands of soldiers and experts joined forces to attack. The power was earth-shattering, but against such an attack, the Mystic Moon Sacred City did not tremble at all. Even the defensive formation did not seem to tremble at all. Array Dao Master. Seeing that the destructive attack could not cause any damage to the array, Li Lingtian understood how powerful the array was. As a super holy array master, he could naturally tell how powerful the array was. However, he just had to attack the array. This commotion puzzled all the troops and experts. With a wave of his hand, hundreds of array masters appeared. With Lu Haoyan in the lead, all the array masters cast spell seals one after another. Instantly, a destructive pillar of light ruthlessly bombarded the array formation. Boom! Another explosion sounded as the shocking pillar of light bombarded the array. However, the array formation was not broken as expected. Instead, it only trembled slightly. The array masters of the Carefree Empire were extremely powerful. This was something that all the experts and armies in the world knew. However, the attacks they were using now could not even shake the defenses of the Mystic Moon Sacred City. Attack! The cultivators and armies of the Mystic Moon Sacred City laughed in excitement when they saw that the array formation of the Carefree Empire posed no threat to the array formation. Instantly, Leng Xiaotian waved the flag in his hand, and countless armies unleashed devastating attacks. The attacks directly penetrated the defensive array formation and bombarded the Carefree Empire's army. Boom! 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 Boom, boom, boom. Between the heavens and the earth, the Mystic Moon Sacred City unleashed destructive attacks. The destructive attacks covered the sky and covered the earth as they descended towards the Carefree Empire. In an instant, the Carefree Empire's army fell continuously. The army quickly used their defensive shields, and the array masters also began to defend themselves. This was the first time such a thing had happened to the Xiaoyao dynasty army. In the past, they had always attacked the other side, but they had never expected that this time the other side would attack them. In the past, he could easily break through the city's defense, but now he was blocked outside the city. War God, cover me. Li Lingtian glanced at Marshal Saint Ming Luo and gestured for her to command the battle. Marshal Saint Ming Luo shouted loudly. Suddenly, the war god's attacks continued to shoot out. The war god also flew forward, using the war god to block the opponent's attacks. Chapter 836. Saint Emperor Bei Ming Xuelis reading Omicron and Novel Cool. Omicron Rumble. Rumble. The sky changed color and the earth shook. Outside the Mystic Moon Sacred City, it was as if the end of the world had arrived. The 10,000-strong army of the Carefree Empire was constantly being attacked by the Mystic Moon Sacred City. The power of the Mystic Moon Sacred City had completely exceeded the imagination of the Carefree Empire. The destructive attacks had covered almost half of the Carefree Empire's army. Within this range, the army had no way of retreating at all. For a moment, the Xiaoyao dynasty was under the attack of destruction. Even if the war god joined in, it wouldn't be able to cause a destructive attack on the Mystic Moon Sacred City. It was impossible for the enemy to stop. Cover me, let me do it. Li Lingtian hovered in the sky as he watched the destructive attack fly past him with a calm expression on his face. In this destructive storm, he floated gracefully in the middle of the attack. However, the destructive attack did not hinder him at all. as if it had bypassed him. Naturally, he would not stand idly by when the Xiaoyao Empire was destroyed. Then he shouted loudly. After saying that, his body flashed and he flew towards the mystic moon sacred city, arriving below the war god. All the attacks were blocked by the war god. At that moment, Li Lingtian activated his divine consciousness and unleashed the Empyrean Terminus Tyrant Saber. After the heavenly extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber was executed, the pressure of destruction erupted. With a vicious look in his eyes, he turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly flew toward the city wall. Heavenly extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber. Tyrannical blade Art Nirvana wind cloud break. With a loud roar, his figure had already arrived 2 meters from the city wall. Then he stopped and circulated the true essence in his body to the extreme. He raised the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber in his hand, and a destructive saber intent erupted from his entire body. The Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber slashed down, and instantly the world fell silent. What followed was a tremor in the air. The wind and clouds surged, but this surge of wind and clouds strangely gathered together. Its target was the huge iron gate on the city wall. Boom! An explosion sounded. The attack of the Heaven's Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber shook the iron door, and the iron door was destroyed inch by inch. However, Li Lingtian did not stop at that moment. All the vital essence in his body vanished, and at the same time, a powerful and terrifying dragon energy soared into the sky. The dragon energy originated from Li Lingtian's body. Instantly, Li Lingtian transformed into a 1,000-meter-long winged dragon. The power of the Yinglong could destroy the heavens and earth, and it was not an exaggeration to say that it could break the heavens. At that moment, Li Lingtian transformed into a flying rain dragon and charged toward the iron door with the power to tear through space. Gotcha! A shocking explosion sounded. The winged dragon's destructive power destroyed the iron gate, and at the same time, a 50-meter-wide gap appeared on the city wall. The formation trembled when the gap appeared. Roar! A loud roar came from the Yinglong's mouth. Its body flashed and its 1,000-meter-long body floated in the air. Its huge tail smashed down on the formation above the mystic moon sacred city. Divine Martial Profound Heaven Sword. The sword will destroy the world. The huge tail swept down fiercely, and the array began to tremble. At that moment, Li Lingtian transformed into his true form and activated his terrifying true essence. His divine consciousness summoned the Divine Martial Black Heaven Sword. The Divine Martial Black Heavenly Sword turned into a destructive sword light. The sword light carried sword will and metal will as it slashed down fiercely at the array. Rumble! A shocking explosion sounded. With the iron door as the center, the array was swept by the tail and then bombarded by the Divine Martial Black Heavenly Sword. Immediately, a hole was torn open in the array. Rumble! Rumble! Seeing this situation, the 10 war gods continuously emitted destructive lights. In the blink of an eye, the defensive array formation was destroyed. All of this seemed to take a long time. However, the entire process, from Li Lingtian's attack on the iron door to Li Lingtian's attack on the array formation, and finally using the Divine Martial Profound Heaven Sword to break the array formation, only took a few seconds. Kill them! Kill them! Kill them! Instantly, the sound of battle resounded throughout the world. Li Lingtian's domineering method of breaking through the defense and attacking instead of using a formation caught the Mystic Moon Sacred City off guard. Moreover, the powerhouses from the Carefree dynasty did not know why Li Lingtian did not use the formation to break the formation. Instead, he had a powerful method to destroy the formation. However, only Lu Haotian and the rest understood that there was something odd about the formation. Moreover, it was specifically targeted at Li Lingtian. If Li Lingtian used the formation to break the formation, he would be trapped by the formation. However, Li Lingtian had seen through it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have allowed the experts and army of the Xiaoyao dynasty to attack the city, and then personally use their terrifying strength to break the array. Seeing that the formation had been broken, the experts of the Mystic Moon Sacred City were clearly shocked. At this moment, the cries of the Carefree dynasty sounded. Countless experts and armies tore apart the array formation and quickly flew into the city. Instantly, the armies from both sides engaged in battle. Li Lingtian hovered in the air as he stared at the 10 martial god powerhouses. Yunao Tian Tianchengzi, and the gorilla demon beside him also looked at the 10 martial god experts on the city wall. As long as they attacked, they would not retreat. Li Lingtian, you're strong, but you don't stand a chance today. Lung Xiaotian spoke loudly when he saw that Li Lingtian did not move, and the 10 martial god powerhouses from the Mystic Moon Holy City did not move either. At that moment he understood that no matter how much Li Lingtian defied the heavens, he would not dare to make a move. After all, no matter how powerful Li Lingtian was, he was only a martial saint. On the other hand, there were 10 martial god powerhouses in the Mystic Moon Holy City. Haha, I don't even need to do anything. I'm waiting for someone to appear. If she doesn't, it'll destroy the entire Black Continent and turn it into hell. Li Lingtian burst into laughter. His laughter was wild and unrestrained. Moreover, he retracted his true essence and looked at the sky, completely ignoring this battle. In the great battle, hundreds and thousands of soldiers died every second. His voice was extremely relaxed, but to all the experts it was completely trembling. His tone was as if the entire Black Continent was in his pocket. He wanted to slaughter the entire Black Continent and turn it into hell. Such boldness and methods made people tremble. Moreover, his expression was relaxed and confident, as if that person would definitely appear. Rumble! 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 The battle did not seem to stop at all. Instead, it became more and more intense. Countless armies and experts disappeared in an instant. Do you think it's possible? Lung Xiaotian was stunned as he was completely stunned by Li Lingtian's appearance. He then spoke loudly. He knew who Li Lingtian was referring to, but it was impossible for that person to appear. As he spoke, his face was filled with disdain. No matter how powerful Li Lingtian was, he was only a martial saint. It would be wishful thinking if he wanted the Holy Emperor to appear. You're here. Bengong has been waiting for you for a long time. At this moment, an ethereal and sweet voice sounded. The sound was extremely clear in the midst of the loud explosion of destruction. It was like the sound of nature that spread throughout the entire battlefield. Instantly, all the battles stopped. The world was temporarily quiet. All the experts and the army separated. The strange silence filled the battlefield with an oppressive aura that was even more terrifying than death. All the experts in the army felt extremely pressured. Even the expressions of the 10 martial god experts on the city wall changed. Yuneotian and Tianqingzi were also extremely shocked. They did not expect the battlefield to become like this. Does it feel like a long time? I don't think that fairy is becoming more and more beautiful. When Li Lingtian heard the voice, he was shocked. He had originally guessed that the lady in white was in the Mystic Moon Empire. However, he never thought that he would really be in the Mystic Moon Empire. What was even more unexpected was that this woman in white appeared at this time. Moreover, her identity was extremely strange. However, his expression was extremely calm as he spoke indifferently, as if he was meeting an old friend. Even now, he still did not understand the identity of this woman in white. It was extremely quiet between heaven and earth. Li Lingtian looked up at the sky with a calm and confident expression. However, no one saw the owner of the sweet voice appear. But soon, an ethereal white-robed woman appeared in the air. Her figure was slender, and her otherworldly aura was like that of a goddess from the 9 heavens. For a moment, all the experts in the army were mesmerized by this white-robed woman. This kind of temperament and ethereal appearance was no longer an ordinary person, but a goddess of the 9 heavens. Greetings, Saint Emperor. Greetings, Saint Emperor. However, what happened next shocked Li Lingtian and the Carefree Empire's powerhouse army. Countless powerful cultivators of the Mystic Moon Empire knelt down when they saw the woman in white. At the same time, the other soldiers and experts of the Mystic Moon Empire also knelt down. Their faces were filled with respect, not because the other party was a girl. Lord Sage Emperor? The ruler of the Mystic Moon Empire, the 3 Saint Emperors of the Mystic Continent. Li Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. He never expected the woman in white to be the Holy Emperor of the Mystic Moon Empire, the true ruler of the empire. The woman he met at the Divine Martial Hall was actually the Divine Emperor. He didn't think that this girl would need to take risks. The army and experts of the Xiaoyao dynasty were shocked when they saw this. Li Lingtian. The lady in white looked in Li Lingtian's direction and called out to him. With a thin veil on her face, one could not see her peerless appearance at all. One could not tell the expression on the woman in white's face. However, with this peerless grace, it was obvious that this woman was a peerless beauty. Northern Nether Snow Fairy. Li Lingtian nodded with a faint smile on his face. He smiled bitterly in his heart. He didn't know the identity of this woman in white, and he even spoke in a teasing tone. However, since it had already come to this, he might as well keep it that way. The two of them spoke as if they were friends who had not seen each other for a long time. There was no anger in them, nor was there any suppression from the background of the battlefield. Army retreat 10,000 miles away. However, at this moment, a faint voice sounded from the war god. Marshal Saint Minglua was stunned when she heard this voice. Then she seemed to understand something. Retreat. He waved the flag in his hand, and all the troops and experts immediately retreated. None of the experts and armies had expected the war between the Xiaoyao Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire to end just like that. The Xiaoyao Empire army retreated for tens of thousands of miles, but the Mystic Moon Empire army did not pursue them. This situation made all the experts in the world extremely puzzled. Moreover, the Xiaoyao dynasty army was stationed 10,000 miles away. They did not really leave, nor did they look like they were going to fight. In the Mystic Moon Empire, the formation was repaired. All the experts and armies were on the city walls. Bei Minxue had been floating in the air the entire time and hadn't returned to the city. News of the war between the Free and Unfettered Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire spread throughout the world. All the experts in the world were extremely confused about the battle between the Free and Unfettered Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire. However, the incident of Li Lingtian from Freedom Dynasty being ambushed by Bei Minx's black hole shocked the world. Li Lingtian had never left the black hole since the beginning. It was as if the black hole had disappeared forever. At the same time, it left a few mysteries to the experts of the world. Firstly, they did not know what Li Lingtian saw in the jade slip. Secondly, they did not know what Li Lingtian saw in the black hole that led him into it. For a moment, the armies of the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire were restless. Countless armies gathered at the borders of the Mystic Moon Empire. The war of the entire Xian continent was about to break out. However, thousands of miles away from the Mystic Moon Holy City, on the War God, countless masters were gathered. Inside the War God, Huang Fuyuyan and the others were gathered in the training room. Every girl's face was extremely solemn, and no one spoke. However, there was a white-robed young man at the head of the table. Who else could it be but Li Lingtian, who had entered the black hole? At this moment, Li Lingtian's eyes were closed like a statue. No one expected Li Lingtian to still be on the War God after entering the black hole. Sister Yan, how much time do we have? Tang Ziming asked Huang Fuyuyan anxiously. Little sister Mingming, don't worry. His clone has 3 days to return. As long as he returns to his original body within 3 days, he won't be injured at all. Huang Fuyuyan's expression was calm as she spoke to Tang Ziming in a comforting tone. In this place, she was a little older than the other girls and she had a wide range of knowledge. She was also more assertive than the other girls when dealing with things. Naturally, all the girls regarded her as an older sister. As an older sister, she naturally had to comfort the other younger sisters. Even if he was not confident, he would not show any signs of anxiety in front of Tang Ziming and the others because she wanted to stabilize the hearts of the other sisters. Outsiders naturally did not know that Li Lingtian, who had entered the black hole, was merely a clone of Li Lingtian. It was just that this clone was still very weak. The last time in Liberty's sacred city, after killing the black-robed expert, he obtained the clone technique. He had also cultivated for a while. With the strength of his divine sense and his agile mind, he had also mastered the avatar technique in a short period of time. However, the avatar was not that stable yet, and his cultivation was not that powerful. However, it was useful this time. When he saw the figure in the black hole, he used the clone technique and sent his clone into the black hole. His original body, however, used the control of space to mysteriously disappear and return to the War God. As his clone was not strong, he did not dare to move at all. Otherwise, his clone would be destroyed and his cultivation would also decline. This move was very risky, but it was also a solution that had no other choice. On one side was Yun Yaoyao and on the other side was his wife. Moreover, it wasn't just one or two of them. If he entered the black hole and any danger happened, he would let Huangfu Yuyan and the others down. If he gave up on Yu Niaoyao, he would never be able to rest in peace. Fortunately, there was an avatar. If the avatar entered the black hole, even if the avatar was destroyed, the main body would not disappear. At that time, he would only have to cultivate for another 2 years. Then why don't we leave this place? Otherwise, if the Mystic Moon Empire counterattacks, it will affect Big Brother Ling Tian. Xianyuan Yingying was extremely worried as well. This was the most dangerous time. If Li Lingshan's clone did not return, his cultivation would drop. Moreover, the armies of the Mystic Moon Empire and the Free and Unfettered Empire were in a standoff. Who knew when a war would erupt? No need. We can't leave this place. If we leave too far away, we'll lose contact with the clone. Besides, unless it's absolutely necessary, we can't leave this place. Unless a martial god from the Mystic Moon Empire attacks, we can't leave this place, said Shun Meier. Although they couldn't cultivate the clone technique at their current realm, they still had some understanding of clones. One could only cultivate avatars after reaching the martial god realm. Moreover, there were not many martial god experts who possessed avatars. They were only 1 in 10,000 existences. In other words, basically, a clone was cultivated by a martial god expert with heaven-defying opportunities. Furthermore, Li Lingtian was only a martial saint powerhouse. It was already heaven-defying for him to cultivate a clone with his heaven-defying methods and physique. His cultivation was too low, and his realm limited his clones. This state could not be made up for by any means. Therefore, the clone and the main body could not be too far away, at most 20,000 miles away. If they were to leave this distance, the main body and the clone would lose contact. At that time, Li Lingshan's clone would vanish into thin air, and his main body's cultivation would drop drastically. Then let's be more serious for the next few days and wait for Lingtian's clone to return, Tang Qingyue said. The only thing they could do now was to wait for Li Lingshan's clone to return. On the war god, countless powerhouses were gathered together. Although the army saw Li Lingtian enter the black hole, they did not panic at all. After all, Li Lingtian was like a god to them. Li Lingtian could come and go as he pleased even if it was hell, let alone a mere black hole. News spread the fastest in Xianzhou no matter when. News of the war between the Free and Unfettered Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire, as well as Li Lingshan's entry into the black hole, had spread throughout the world. The armies of the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire quickly gathered at the borders of the Mystic Moon Empire. The world shook, and a great battle was about to break out. Li Lingshan's heart trembled as he looked at the figure. His body flashed into the black hole. Although it was only a clone, it already possessed all of Li Lingshan's thoughts and wisdom. However, his cultivation was only 1/3 of the original. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The black hole was bottomless and the surroundings were pitch black. The destructive aura continued to corrode Li Lingtian, but it was nothing compared to Li Lingtian. After all, Li Lingtian had obtained the destruction cyclone in the divine martial hall. He had also been tempered by the dragon energy and divine energy, and he had the 5 elements sacred body and the heavenly sword body. All of this made his defense invincible. However, he did not dare to be careless at this moment. After all, this was a black hole and he was not his original body. He was just a clone. Moreover, there was still that figure below. If anything happened, it would be too late for regret. Army retreat 10,000 miles away. However, at this moment, a faint voice sounded from the war god. Marshal Saint Mingluo was stunned when she heard this voice. Then she seemed to understand something. Retreat. He waved the flag in his hand, and all the troops and experts immediately retreated. None of the experts and armies had expected the war between the Xiaoyao Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire to end just like that. The Xiaoyao Empire army retreated for tens of thousands of miles, but the Mystic Moon Empire army did not pursue them. This situation made all the experts in the world extremely puzzled. Moreover, the Xiaoyao dynasty army was stationed 10,000 miles away. They did not really leave, nor did they look like they were going to fight. In the Mystic Moon Empire, the formation was repaired. All the experts and armies were on the city walls. Bei Minxue had been floating in the air the entire time and hadn't returned to the city. News of the war between the Free and Unfettered Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire spread throughout the world. All the experts in the world were extremely confused about the battle between the Free and Unfettered Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire. However, the incident of Li Lingtian from Freedom Dynasty being ambushed by Bei Minx's black hole shocked the world. Li Lingtian had never left the black hole since the beginning. It was as if the black hole had disappeared forever. At the same time, it left a few mysteries to the experts of the world. Firstly, they did not know what Li Lingtian saw in the jade slip. Secondly, they did not know what Li Lingtian saw in the black hole that led him into it. For a moment, the armies of the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire were restless. Countless armies gathered at the borders of the Mystic Moon Empire. The war of the entire Xian continent was about to break out. However, thousands of miles away from the Mystic Moon Holy City, on the War God, countless masters were gathered. Inside the War God, Huang Fuyuyan and the others were gathered in the training room. Every girl's face was extremely solemn, and no one spoke. However, there was a white-robed young man at the head of the table. Who else could it be but Li Lingtian, who had entered the black hole? At this moment, Li Lingtian's eyes were closed like a statue. No one expected Li Lingtian to still be on the War God after entering the black hole. Sister Yan, how much time do we have? Tang Ziming asked Huang Fuyuyan anxiously. Little sister Mingmeng, don't worry. His clone has 3 days to return. As long as he returns to his original body within 3 days, he won't be injured at all. Huang Fuyuyan's expression was calm as she spoke to Tang Ziming in a comforting tone. In this place, she was a little older than the other girls and she had a wide range of knowledge. She was also more assertive than the other girls when dealing with things. Naturally, all the girls regarded her as an older sister. It was already heaven-defying for him to cultivate a clone with his heaven-defying methods and physique. His cultivation was too low, and his realm limited his clones. This state could not be made up for by any means. Therefore, the clone and the main body could not be too far away, at most 20,000 miles away. If they were to leave this distance, the main body and the clone would lose contact. At that time, Li Lingtian's clone would vanish into thin air, and his main body's cultivation would drop drastically. Then let's be more serious for the next few days and wait for Lingtian's clone to return. Tang Qingyue said. The only thing they could do now was to wait for Li Lingtian's clone to return. On the War God, countless powerhouses were gathered together. Although the army saw Li Lingtian enter the black hole, they did not panic at all. After all, Li Lingtian was like a god to them. Li Lingtian could come and go as he pleased even if it was hell, let alone a mere black hole. News spread the fastest in Xianzhou no matter when. News of the war between the Free and Unfettered Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire, as well as Li Lingtian's entry into the black hole, had spread throughout the world. The armies of the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire quickly gathered at the borders of the Mystic Moon Empire. The world shook, and a great battle was about to break out. Li Lingtian's heart trembled as he looked at the figure. His body flashed into the black hole. Although it was only a clone, it already possessed all of Li Lingtian's thoughts and wisdom. However, his cultivation was only 1/3 of the original. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The black hole was bottomless and the surroundings were pitch black. The destructive aura continued to corrode Li Lingtian, but it was nothing compared to Li Lingtian. After all, Li Lingtian had obtained the destruction cyclone in the Divine Martial Hall. He had also been tempered by the dragon energy and divine energy, and he had the 5 elements sacred body and the heavenly sword body. All of this made his defense invincible. However, he did not dare to be careless at this moment. After all, this was a black hole and he was not his original body. He was just a clone. Moreover, there was still that figure below. If anything happened, it would be too late for regret. Chapter 839. Northern Dark Divine Moon Art Lease Reading Omicron in Novel Cool. Omicron M, if you didn't give me the heavenly spiritual pearl, you wouldn't have suffered so much. Li Lingtian revealed a faint smile. His heart ached for her. It had been so difficult for a girl to make it through all these years. As he spoke, he reached out and stroked Yun Yaoyao's face. Yu Niaoyao was elated to see that Li Lingtian did not blame her. From now on, she would not care about her family or anything else. She was happy to be by Li Lingshan's side. Looking at Li Lingshan's carefree appearance and smile, she felt blissful. This younger brother of his was no longer the young man from a few years ago. He was a real man, a man who could support the heavens and the earth. He was an expert that all the experts in the world had to respect. Now that you're here, it's fate between you and Yao. Yu Niaoyao blushed and pointed forward. She thought back to the time when Li Lingtian treated her wounds. At that time, she was not wearing any clothes and was only separated by a thin veil. Li Lingtian did not suspect anything. He looked in the direction Yu Niaoyao was pointing and saw that the sky above the black hole was pitch black. However, the two of them were in the halo, and countless mysterious characters were flashing in the halo. He was a super holy array master, and his strength was almost at the level of a divine array master. Naturally, he knew that this was a mysterious array or something passed down by an ancient expert. Moreover, when he first arrived, he heard a few faint voices. He did not know where this voice came from. At this moment he looked down and saw a gray bead. The pearl looked exactly the same as the heavenly spirit pearl he wore on his chest. The only difference was the color. Earth spiritual pearl. Li Lingtian cried out in surprise as the expression on his face changed. He did not expect to encounter the mysterious Earth Spiritual Pearl in this place. The Earth Spiritual Pearl was a legendary item that was as magical and powerful as the Heavenly Spiritual Pearl. If the Heavenly Spiritual Pearl and the Earth Spiritual Pearl were to fuse together, it would release a miraculous power. Moreover, at this moment, the Heavenly Spiritual Pearl in front of his chest emitted a faint mysterious halo, forming a mysterious connection with the Earth Spiritual Pearl below. Yes, this is the Earth Spiritual Pearl. You still don't know, but this place is the forbidden land of the Shenhua Empire, the Shenhua Palace. It's also one of the two holy lands of the Baiming family. The Baiming family's treasure is the Dark North Divine Moon Mantra. It's known as one of the most powerful sacred scriptures in the ancient times. However, no one in the Divine Martial Continent has cultivated the Dark North Divine Moon Mantra. Yu Niaoyao nodded and said softly. Her voice was like the sound of nature. She reached out to hold Li Lingshan's hand as her beautiful eyes stared at the Earth Spiritual Pearl below. Around the two of them there was a magical halo flashing. It looked extremely magical. The Dark North Divine Moon Art is here? Li Lingshan's expression changed as he looked at the runes in the halo and listened to Yu Niaoyao's words. He didn't expect the Mystic Moon Empire to have such a powerful background. It was actually the Baiming family, one of the 10 great families of the Divine Continent. It seemed that every family in the Divine Continent had a heaven-defying existence and some legends. In the future, he would have to witness the power of the Divine Continent. That's right. The Dark North Divine Moon Art is here. Moreover, this light is also the light of the Dark North Divine Moon. The light of the Dark North Divine Moon can increase a cultivator's intelligence and soul power. Yu Niaoyao nodded and said earnestly, her face filled with anticipation. Give you the Heavenly Spiritual Pearl. Let's go out. I'm only a clone now. The battle outside hasn't ended yet. My true body is still outside. If the Mystic Moon Empire were to disturb me, then it would be troublesome. Li Lingtian looked at Yu Niaoyao and pondered for a moment. He was about to remove the Heavenly Spirit Pearl from his neck when Yu Niaoyao stopped him. No, the Mystic Moon Empire is also the power of the Baiming family in the Black Continent. Sister Shui won't disturb you. Besides, you're already here. If you want to leave, you'll have to comprehend the Dark North Divine Moon Art. Otherwise, the two of us won't be able to get out. Moreover, you've cultivated the Dragon Race's cultivation technique. If you cultivate the Dark North Divine Moon Art, it will be of endless help to you. Yu Niaoyao said with a smile. She looked at Li Lingshan's actions as if she was looking at Li Lingtian a few years ago. Then he told her about the situation in this place. I see. Then I can only work hard. Li Lingtian was taken aback. He knew that Yu Niaoyao was not lying to him and there was no need to lie to him. Then, he sat down cross-legged and circulated his divine sense. He executed a series of hand seals. He quickly recorded the characters in the magical halo and sorted them out over and over again. Yu Niaoyao told him about the Dark North divine moon art that she cultivated, but it was completely different from the runes here. Li Lingtian was shocked by the situation as well. He did not expect that the person he encountered would be completely different from the person he received. It seemed that this cultivation technique also differed from person to person. Gradually, Li Lingtian closed his eyes and began to organize the runes he had obtained. After an unknown period of time, Li Lingtian felt a slight change in his body. It was as if a cool breeze had entered his body. Little did he know that the magical halo was pouring down on Li Lingtian like moonlight before finally entering his body. As time passed, everything in the black hole turned pitch black, and the halo almost disappeared. Only the heavenly spiritual pearl on Li Lingshan's chest, and the earth spiritual pearl below him shone faintly. Yes. At that moment, Yu Niaoyao shouted softly, and a powerful force put away the earth spirit pearl. When Li Lingtian opened his eyes, the heavenly spiritual pearl around his neck had already left his body and was suspended in the air. Just as Yu Niaoyao took the earth spiritual pearl away, the heavenly spiritual pearl shot toward Li Lingtian with one hand. In the end, it ignored Li Lingshan's existence, as if the light had already disappeared from Li Lingshan's body. Although he did not know where the heavenly spiritual pearl had gone, Li Lingtian knew that it had entered his body. It was as if moonlight had entered his body and completely fused with it. Dark North Divine Moon Art. Heaven and Earth Spiritual Pearl Fusion. Winged Wandering. Ao Shao Heaven Spirit Hall. I've traveled hundreds of millions of miles. With a single thought, Li Lingtian and Yu Niaoyao's expressions were solemn, as they chanted a mysterious incantation. The two of them emitted a faint halo, which was exactly the same as the one at the beginning. At the same time their palms met, and the black hole trembled continuously. A gust of wind and moon-like aura spread out, and the black hole disappeared into thin air. Li Lingtian hovered in the air. In his line of sight, Yu Niaoyao was blushing as she stared at him. The duo miraculously left the black hole and appeared at the spot where Li Lingtian had disappeared. Inside the war god, Li Lingtian opened his eyes with a hint of excitement on his lips. There was no movement as his figure disappeared. Tang Qingyue and the others were stunned when they saw Li Lingshan's disappearance. They then flashed and quickly flew in the direction of the Mystic Moon Sacred City. Naturally, Li Lingshan's original body could sense the appearance of his clone. Li Lingshan's body was swiftly shuttling through the air. However, there was not the slightest fluctuation. Even a 9th heavenly layer martial saint powerhouse could not sense Li Lingtian in the air. Li Lingtian arrived at the front of the Mystic Moon Holy City. He did not even look at Bei Mingxue, who was floating in the air. Instead, he moved toward his clone in a flash and a spatial fluctuation appeared. The original body and the clone fused in an instant. No one saw all of this. Li Lingshan's doppelganger merged with his original body and transformed into a stream of consciousness and true essence that entered his dantian. Northern Nether Snow Fairies. Thank you very much. Li Lingtian spoke to Bai Mingxue. Outsiders might not know what was going on, but Bai Mingxue did, because she was the one who controlled everything and planned everything. Sir Lingtian, congratulations. No, you should call me sister now. I'll have to call you brother-in-law in the future. The experts of the world, the army of the Mystic Moon Sacred City, and the experts of the free and unfettered empire who were rushing over were all stunned by Bei Mingxue's words. They almost fell to the ground. The Holy Emperor of the Mystic Moon Empire had actually spoken to Li Lingtian in such a manner. Moreover, they were all shocked. Li Lingtian was clearly trapped in the black hole, but they did not expect him to appear in the air so strangely. Furthermore, there was a peerless beauty in the air. Sister Xue. Yu Niaoyao held Li Lingshan's hand. Her delicate little face was flushed red, and she dared not look up at Li Lingtian. I wonder how Sister Xue is going to deal with the current situation. Li Lingtian was stunned by Bei Mingxue's sudden change. However, since she had said so, he could not reject her. Besides, it would not be good for Yu Niaoyao if he did. After all, Bei Mingxue was Yu Niaoyao's older sister. However, now that the Xiaoyao dynasty and the Mystic Moon Empire had come to this, they naturally had to settle this. You're a man, don't tell me you want to bully a little girl like me? I don't want to care about the Mystic Moon Empire anymore. Do as you see fit. Consider it a gift from my Baiming family. Bimingsu looked at Li Lingtian. Behind the veil, no one could see Bimingsu's face and expression. However, her words had shocked all the powerhouses in the world. Freedom King's expert was even more puzzled. He did not know what the other party was up to. Thank you, Sister Shui. Lingtian won't be pretentious. Li Lingtian was taken aback. He never expected such a thing to happen. However, since things had come to this, the Xiaoyao dynasty was eager for this. The Mystic Moon Empire had preserved their strength, and the Xiaoyao dynasty hadn't suffered any major losses. When the two powerful existences fused together, they would become even stronger. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At that moment, Huang Fuyuyan and the others had arrived by Li Lingshan's side. When they saw Yun Yaoyao and Li Lingtian, they finally understood who this girl was. Shun Mei'er was even more aware that the two of them had met a few times. In the past, the two of them had always been at odds with each other. She did not expect that the two of them would have a common husband now. Soon Shun Mei'er and the others greeted Yun Yao. The girls did not have any disagreements. Li Lingtian was relieved to see this. Chapter 840. The Situation in the Black Continent 1. Lise reading Omicron in Novel Cool. Omicron M. As the girls were greeting each other, Li Lingtian quickly stepped aside and ordered Marshal Saint Ming Luo and the others to handle the matters in the Mystic Moon Empire. The Mystic Moon Empire was a powerful empire that had been reorganized by Li Lingtian. Even though they were not convinced, Li Lingshan's strength was evident. Furthermore, even the Holy Emperor had given up on him. There was nothing they could say. Moreover, the powerhouses and armies of the Mystic Moon Empire were not fools. They could tell that Li Lingtian and the Sage Emperor were acquaintances at a glance. The war between the two countries was nothing more than a game. Now that the game was over, Li Lingtian took over the Mystic Moon Empire. Following that, Li Lingtian and the others entered the Mystic Moon Holy City and arrived at the Mystic Moon Palace. Marshal Saint Ming Luo and the others would naturally handle the matters between the Xiaoyao Empire and the Shenyue Empire. Li Lingtian and the others were also staying in the Shenyue Palace. Li Lingtian and the others were curious about the Divine Moon Palace. There was a Divine Moon Hall back in Tianhe Sacred City, but they did not expect the Mystic Moon Empire and Mystic Continent to have one. However, this did not affect them at all. The girls knew about Yun Yaoyao and understood her place in Li Lingtian's heart. Like Yun Yaoyao, they could not afford to lose any of Li Lingtian. Moreover, Yun Yaoyao was a peerless beauty. The few girls got to know each other very quickly and got along very well. Li Lingtian, Huang Fuyuyan, and the rest never expected that Bimingsu and Yun Yaoyao looked exactly the same. Even their expressions were the same. If the two of them wore the same clothes, it would be impossible to tell who was Bei Mingxue and who was Yun Yaoyao. However, based on Li Lingshan's cultivation base, he could tell that Bei Mingxue had a cold aura and a superior aura on her if he observed her carefully. Yun Yaoyao, on the other hand, was less cold and more gentle and approachable. She was like a girl from a family, and her body carried a holy aura. In the Shenyue Palace there was laughter and laughter. On the other hand, the Xian continent was in chaos. The Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire were planning to attack the Mystic Moon Empire after Li Lingtian was trapped in the black hole and wipe out the Carefree Empire. However, they never thought that the Free and Unfettered Empire and the Mystic Moon Empire would end up like this. Not only did the two countries not fight, but they even turned hostility into friendship. Now the Mystic Moon Empire had become the Free and Unfettered Empire, and the Free and Unfettered Empire had become a true empire with shocking power. Coupled with Li Lingshan's strength and methods, the Carefree Empire was even more terrifying than the previous Mystic Moon Empire. Moreover, the appearance of Bei Mingxue from the Mystic Moon Empire meant that the Baiming family was behind the Mystic Moon Empire. The armies of the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire were gathered at the border of the Carefree dynasty. It was impossible for them to retreat. If they retreated at this time, the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire would become the laughingstock of the Xian continent. As a last resort, the two empires formed an alliance to fight against Li Lingshan's Freedom Dynasty. You are destined to be enemies with the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire. The Mystic Moon Empire originally balanced the other two empires, forming a three-legged balance in the Xian continent. You also know that the Mystic Moon Empire is the Baiming family's property. The Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire are naturally the property of the families of the Divine Continent. Now that you've taken over the Mystic Moon Empire, even if you don't make a move against the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire, they'll still make a move against you. In the future, you're destined to become the opponent of the two great clans of the Divine Continent. You should seriously consider whether you want to fight or not. In the Divine Moon Palace, Bei Minxue was dressed in a snow-white veil. She looked extremely beautiful, like a goddess from the 9 heavens. However, she wasn't wearing a veil. Li Lingtian and the others were in the Divine Moon Palace for the past few days. The matters outside were handled by the subordinates. He was also happy and peaceful as he cultivated in peace. Yun Yaoyao and Li Lingtian had not met for a long time, so their relationship was extremely good. Bei Minxue often played around in the Xinyue Palace. She was extremely natural when she spoke to Li Lingtian. There was no difference in cultivation level between the two of them, and they weren't bothered by what had happened between the Mystic Moon Empire and the Free and Unfettered Empire. On the contrary, Li Lingtian had taken over the Mystic Moon Empire and she did not have to worry about it. Naturally, she was overjoyed. Moreover, Li Lingshan's strength was extremely powerful, and his methods were unparalleled. Coupled with Yun Yaoyao's relationship, Li Lingtian was now considered one of them. Furthermore, he had already cultivated the Dark North Divine Moon art. Although Li Lingtian did not admit that he was related to the Baiming family, he did not object either. This was because he did not have the slightest understanding of this family. However, having a superfamily as a friend was at least better than becoming an enemy. Since we are already here, a great battle is naturally unavoidable. Besides, you've already pushed the matter to me. Do you think I can still retreat? With a faint smile on his face, Li Lingtian glanced at Bei Minxue. She found it funny. Bei Minxue looked exactly like Yun Yaoya. Such sisters were indeed pleasing to the eye. This is your style. With your current strength, you won't have any problems in Xianzhou. But you can't go to the Divine Continent. If you go to the Divine Continent, your current strength is really not enough. So, you have to take it seriously and raise your cultivation. Bei Minxue looked at Li Lingtian with admiration. She was extremely satisfied with the young man before her. She was only 2 or 3 years older than him, and her cultivation was 1 realm higher than Li Lingshan's. However, her abilities were not as good as Li Lingshan's. In terms of realm as a superclan, they had a huge advantage. Whether it was cultivation techniques, medicinal pills, or some secret techniques, they were not something ordinary people could compare to. They could only be existences that could only be looked up to. Although Li Lingtian was the Divine Martial Continent's #1 divine alchemist, he had an astonishing canon and treasures. However, without the guidance of some important figures, and with Li Lingtian wasting a lot of time, he could not compare to them. Now, even his sister Yun Yaoyao was on the verge of becoming a martial god. With Li Lingshan's heavenly spiritual pearl guiding him, the earth spiritual pearl was triggered, and he finally comprehended the Dark North Divine Moon mantra. With this opportunity, as long as he cultivated hard, he would be able to reach the martial god realm within a year. Yes, it's true. I've already reached the peak of the second sky of the martial saint realm. I've also cultivated the Dark North Divine Moon art. As long as I cultivate for a period of time, I'll be able to reach the third sky of the martial saint realm. Although the Divine Continent is powerful, it's a true paradise for the truly powerful. So, after I've settled the matter in the Black Continent, I'll go to the Divine Continent and see how powerful it is. The Xian Continent is just a stepping stone. The Divine Martial Continent is my world. I want no one in this world to threaten me. I want to bring them to roam the world. Li Lingshan's expression was extremely serious. His body exuded a faintly discernible and powerful aura. This aura was completely proportional to his confidence and strength. He looked at Huang Fuyuyan and the others with a gentle gaze before his gaze landed on Yun Yaoya. After being separated for a few years, they were finally together. Naturally, they were extremely happy. In this life, he no longer had any regrets. However, the more he did so, the more he had to work hard. Only by working hard and becoming stronger could he protect them. When the girls heard Li Lingshan's words and looked at him, they were overjoyed and their hearts were filled with sweetness. This was her man who could make them rely on each other physically and mentally. Actually, you have a few heaven-defying divine artifacts in your hands. As long as you completely unleash these divine artifacts, you will have the ability to protect yourself. Moreover, you already have 3 heavenly swords. If you combine the Heaven Grade Sword and the Heaven Sun Sword, the power of the 5 heavenly swords will reach its peak. At that time, even you will be afraid. Bimingsu had a charming smile on her face. Li Lingtian and the others were curious about her expression. This woman in white was mysterious and powerful, noble and cold, and she always wore a veil. But now she was completely like a little girl. It was indeed funny. Huang Fuyin and the others also liked Bei Minxue and her sister. After all, Yu Niaoyao was Li Lingxian's relative from a few years ago. She was also Li Lingxian's benefactor. If it were not for Yu Niaoyao, who knew if Li Lingtian would still be alive? After the war is over, we'll focus on cultivating for a while. We'll go to the divine continent after we've improved our cultivation. But are the Heavenly Pole Sword and the Heavenly Sun Sword in Xianzhou? When Li Lingtian heard Bei Mingxue mention the Heavenly Sword, his face was filled with anticipation. 10 years ago, he had obtained the Sky Sword. Now he had gathered 3 heavenly swords, but he was still missing 2. He was naturally extremely happy to receive the news of the 2 heavenly swords. He could not wait to obtain the heavenly swords immediately. It's not that easy to get the Heaven Grade Sword and the Heaven Sun Sword. The Heavenly Sword is in the Sky Blue Empire, and the Heavenly Sun Sword is in the Heavenly Sun Empire. Unless we destroy the 2 empires, we can forget about obtaining the Heavenly Sun Sword and the Heavenly Pole Sword. Bei Minxue said seriously when she saw Li Lingxian's excited expression. The smile on her face also turned serious. Others might not know about the Heavenly Sun Empire and the Sky Blue Empire, but as the Holy Land of the Mystic Moon Empire, she naturally knew about the 2 empires. The forces behind these 2 empires were extremely powerful, and there were countless experts who came to the Black Continent. Although Li Lingtian was powerful, it would not be easy for him to wipe out the 2 empires. Moreover, the Crystal Pavilion has sent news that the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace in Xianzhou is about to open. It seems to be during this period of time. I don't know the exact location, but a few experts from the Divine Continent have already come to the Xian continent. It seems that they are here for the matter of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. At this moment, Yu Niaoyao, who had been silent all this while, spoke up. When she spoke, she looked extremely serious. She was a member of the Biming family and the young master of the Crystal Pavilion. Her status was extremely powerful. Chapter 841. Xiaoyao Immortal Palace Lease Reading Omicron in Novel Cool. Omicron others might not know about the mystery of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, but Li Lingtian and Bei Mingxue knew. Xiaoyao Immortal Palace had a mysterious background and was extremely powerful. The Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was one of the 6 secret realms of the Divine Martial Continent. It was also the most magical place. Li Lingtian had been to a few places and they were considered powerful. However, they were not on the same level as the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. That's right, it's the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. The Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, one of the 6 secret realms of the Divine Martial Continent. It's located in Xianzhou. The Xiaoyao Immortal Palace only opens once every 2,000 years at this time. There are only 81 slots to enter the palace, and you need a token to enter. Those who enter are either martial god experts or experts from the Nitian clans and super forces. Yu Niaoyao was at her most serious when she told him the news, because she was used to it. As the young pavilion master, he was very serious about news. Now that the news concerned his own family, he was naturally extremely serious. Slowly, Yu Niaoyao revealed some of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace's secrets, as well as some other secrets that no one knew. If this information was revealed to other experts, it would be impossible to buy it. The Xiaoyao Immortal Palace is rumored to be related to the other secret realms in the Divine Martial Continent. Moreover, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace holds the key to breaking through the critical point of the Divine Martial Continent and ascending to the upper realm. Therefore, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace has also become a fairyland in the eyes of the Divine Martial Continent's super experts. Countless super experts have entered the palace to search for some mysterious existences. There are countless treasures and materials inside, but the experts who enter basically have a slim chance of survival. Moreover, there are no experts who have obtained the true secret inside. Even so, the experts of the world would still flock for it. This is the common problem of the experts of the divine martial continent. As long as there is a slight chance, they will take the risk. Li Lingtian took over Yun Yaoyao's topic and told her about Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. This Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was not like other mystic realms, but it was an independent world. Moreover, the position of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was different. It was moving at any time, just like an island that could drift. It was unknown when this palace had been left behind. There were countless mysterious treasures and cultivation techniques inside. It was completely included by a martial artist. It was inexhaustible. However, there were not many who obtained treasures. Let's see how powerful your sister is, Yun Yaoyao said happily, her face blushing. She still regarded herself as Li Lingxian's sister because their relationship had not faded due to time and separation. Instead, it had deepened. The occasional joke could also improve the relationship between the two of them. However, this was the first time she had done this in front of all her sisters. She had also forgotten that there were other sisters here. You're thinking the same thing as me. However, if we leave the Mystic Moon Sacred City, the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire will take the opportunity to attack us. Bei Minxue smiled at Yun Yaoyao, making her even more embarrassed. However, he looked at Li Lingtian and voiced out his thoughts. Although they did not care about an empire or power, the Carefree Dynasty was Li Lingxian's foundation and could not be shaken. Sister Shui, have you forgotten? My big brother Lingtian is a divine array master powerhouse. He'll be able to fend off powerful enemies from the outside with just a few heaven-defying arrays. Xianyuan Yingying replied with a smile as she leaned against Li Lingtian. She was not shy at all to show off her affection in front of all her sisters. I forgot about that. With the heaven-defying formation, as long as we protect the Mystic Moon Sacred City for a period of time, we won't be harmed. Even if we lose the entire Carefree Empire, as long as the army and experts of the Carefree Empire don't leave the Mystic Moon Sacred City, we won't suffer any major losses. Bei Minxue was startled and her eyes lit up. Li Lingtian used to be a super holy array master, and the arrays he cast were all heaven-defying. Furthermore, there were many super array Dao geniuses below. Li Lingxian's powerful array Dao should have surpassed the holy array master and reached the divine array master level. Now that Xianyuan Yingying said it, she believed it a little. After all, she was not proficient in array Dao and did not know how powerful Li Lingtian was. Nevertheless, she was assured of Li Lingxian's ability. Although the young man was young, he would never do something he was not confident in. That's right. During this period of time, I'll have the array masters of the Xiaoyao Empire move over. I'll personally set up some arrays in the Mystic Moon Sacred City. I guarantee that the foundation of the Xiaoyao Empire will be protected before we return. Li Lingtian nodded in agreement. The Carefree Dynasty was still the Carefree Dynasty, and the Mystic Moon Sacred City was still the Mystic Moon Sacred City. However, the Mystic Moon Empire had changed to the Carefree Dynasty. The Mystic Moon Sacred City wouldn't change its name, because this place had always been part of the Mystic Moon Palace. He had also cultivated the Dark North Mystic Moon art, so he naturally wouldn't change the name of the sacred city. Following that, Yun Yaoyao's subordinates tried their best to find out more about Xiaoyao Celestial Palace. Li Lingtian gave an order to summon Wu Jizi and a few array masters to Mystic Moon Sacred City. Huang Fuyuyan and the others began to prepare some daily necessities for entering the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. After all, to enter an unfamiliar place, it was necessary for girls to prepare a lot. Li Lingtian began his preparations as well. However, he was using his own array Dao to defend the Mystic Moon Holy City. If he wanted to leave the city, he would have to be wary of the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire attacking. With his array Dao cultivation, as long as he built a powerful defensive array and stationed all the experts and armies inside, the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire might not be able to break through the city. For a moment, Li Lingxian's figure appeared in the Mystic Moon Holy City from time to time, but no one knew what he was doing. After half a month, the defense of the Mystic Moon Holy City was finally completed. Li Lingtian had reinforced the city with more than 30,000 formations that were interconnected. If all the small formations were activated, it would activate a heaven-defying defense and attack. After the formation was completed, Li Lingtian told Wu Jizi, Marshal Saint Ming Luo, and the others some of the key points of the formation. Moreover, he needed Marshal Saint Ming Luo and the rest's vital essence to open and close the array. It was impossible for him to open the array by himself. After the array formation was completed, Yun Yaoyao's subordinates also figured out what happened at Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. The opening time of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was also during this period of time. Moreover, the approximate location of the opening of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace could also be seen. Countless super experts were rushing to the Sky Sea near the Sky Blue Empire. The Sky Sea was the most powerful sea in the entire Black Continent. The sea was vast and boundless. Even martial god experts did not dare to enter it easily, let alone cross the Sky Sea. He didn't expect that the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace would appear in the boundless sea area. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack to find the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. It's time for us to move. Bei Minxue saw that the matters in the Mystic Moon Sacred City had been settled and was extremely excited. For someone like her, who was in the palace every day, she was naturally excited to go out and play. Alright, but you guys better not show your faces now. Our every move is being watched by the other empires. Even though it's inevitable that they'll find out that we've left the Mystic Moon Sacred City, at least we can't let them know for the next few days. Li Lingtian nodded. He was extremely concerned about finding Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. The Xiaoyao Immortal Palace only appeared once every 2,000 years. He must not miss it. If he missed it, it would be too late to regret it. However, even if he went to the palace, he couldn't let the other experts and opponents know about it. Chapter 842. The Sea and the Sky. Then let's go into the Divine Dragon Ring. Huang Fuyan agreed with Li Lingxian's words. The other girls nodded in agreement. After that, everyone entered the Divine Dragon Ring. Li Lingtian left the Mystic Moon Sacred City quietly after putting on his makeup and flew toward the Sky Blue Empire. With his cultivation base, no one would be able to discover him after he concealed his cultivation base. After leaving the Mystic Moon Sacred City for tens of millions of miles, he finally took out a flying ship. Huang Fuyan and the others also appeared on the flying ship. With a large group of beautiful women accompanying them, flying was extremely easy. In the past he had his wife Ji Little White and 3 maids. Now he had Bei Minxue and her sister. Coupled with Xinyuan Qingqing's cuteness, laughter could be heard from the spaceship from time to time. Li Lingtian had left everything in Liberty Sacred City to Longda and the others. They were the ones who came out this time. The Horizon Sea area is vast and boundless. This time, the location of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was calculated to be in the Horizon Sea area. However, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace is like a needle in this Horizon Sea area. It is not so easy to find the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. It can also be said that the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace this time is also a severe test for all the experts in the world, and it is a test of layers. Yun Yaoyao sat beside Li Lingtian and told him about the incident at Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. The other girls were chatting and playing at the side, and only the 2 of them were discussing the matter of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. After all, Huang Fuyan and the others were not clear about these matters. Only Yun Yaoyao knew a thing or two about Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Indeed, this sea area is boundless. Even the experts of the 3 empires might not know much about the sea area, let alone experts from other places. In the boundless sea there are countless sea beasts and experts. It's mysterious, unknown, terrifying. These are all tests for experts. This is the first test. After that, even if we find the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, we have to go through countless battles before we can enter. Li Lingtian nodded with a calm expression on his face, but he was extremely excited. Although the experts he had encountered in the past were all very powerful, the ones he had encountered this time were some of the most powerful experts in the entire Divine Martial Continent. When the time came, it would definitely be extremely intense to fight against these experts. This time, little brother Lingtian, you'll be busy again. The tokens of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace are not in the hands of the major families and forces. The 99 tokens came from the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, so Yun Yaoyao smiled charmingly. Her smile could topple a city and then a country. He even laughed at the end of his sentence. Although he did not say it out loud, Li Lingtian understood it very well. Time passed day by day, and some news continued to reach Yunyao. The spaceship quickly flew across the sky. After 8 days, the flying ship had left the carefree dynasty and arrived at the three great empires' uninhabited area. As long as they crossed the no-man's land, they would arrive at the sea near the Sky Blue Empire. The Sky Ocean was actually an obstacle for the three empires. Among the three empires, there was no specific country that owned the Sky Ocean. The three empires had fought countless times, but they had never obtained the Sky Ocean. No matter where it was, the sea area was the most fertile resource area. Naturally, it was a battleground for military strategists. It was even more so for the sea area in the sky. The three empires could not obtain it, but the experts of the three empires could enter the sea area in the sky to search for treasures and resources. On this day, Li Lingtian's spaceship left the no-man's land and arrived at the horizon. Looking at the boundless sea, Li Lingtian stopped his spaceship. Everyone took a short rest in a mountain range at the edge of the sea. After all, they had to enter the sea, and they didn't know when they would be able to get their feet on the ground. After resting for a day, the spaceship flew up again and quickly flew towards the center of the sea. Swoosh! As soon as they entered the sea area, a sound of air breaking rang out. Li Lingtian sat cross-legged on the spaceship as his divine consciousness sensed a huge spaceship flying toward the ocean. A man in red stood on the huge spaceship. The man in red was extremely demonic and dazzling. However, what caught everyone's attention was that this man was actually a martial god expert. His strength at the first level of the martial god realm was extremely profound, and he did not show the slightest fear when facing the terrifying wind. Li Lingtian's lips curled into a smile when he saw the man in red. It seemed that the man in red was heading to Xiaoyao Immortal Palace as well. Martial god realm experts were rare. However, a single Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was able to make those hermit experts come out of seclusion. It could be seen how powerful the temptation of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was. Li Lingtian's expression was calm, but he was getting more and more excited. The flying ship quickly flew into the sea area. Every once in a while, there would be experts entering the sea area. Moreover, the flying ships that these experts drove were incomparably huge and extremely sturdy. The powerhouses who came here were all 9th heavenly layer martial saints. However, they were all scornful when they saw Li Lingtian, who was at the 2nd heavenly layer martial saint. The only thing that reassured Li Lingtian was that these martial saint powerhouses would not make a move at this time. Before seeing the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace and obtaining the treasures, he would not use up his Zhan Yuan or waste his energy. Moreover, it was indeed unwise to cause trouble here, because if one caused trouble here, they would most likely become a mantis and be killed by the Oriole. Yunyaoyao couldn't receive any news after entering the sea. After all, the sea was different from land. The sea stretched as far as the eye could see, and there were no experts from the Crystal Pavilion here. Now they could only rely on themselves and luck to find it. Rumble! The ship had already been in the sea for 10 days. The ship had been flying at high speed for 10 days, and was tens of millions of miles away from the edge of the sea. Now the spaceship had already reached the depths. Among martial artists there was basically a level of distinction between the sea areas. Generally speaking, the outer area of a powerful sea area was the area where low-level warriors were active because there were all sea beasts of the 1st to the 5th rank. This area was about 1,000,000 miles away from the edge of the sea area, and there were sea beasts of the 5th to the 8th rank. This area was about 10 million miles away from the edge of the sea area. In the depths of the sea area, there were super powerful sea beasts. Even martial saints did not dare to go deep. Usually, they were tens of millions of miles away from the edge of the sea area. The demonic beasts and sea beasts inside were extremely powerful. They were existences that could destroy the world at any moment. On the spaceship, Li Lingtian's expression changed several times as he looked at the distant sea. In the distance, the sky changed color. The originally calm sea was now covered in shocking waves, as if a hurricane had arrived. The sound of explosions shook the space. Huang Fuyuyan and the others were also awakened by the tremors. They came to the plank and looked at the situation in the distance. Boom! Whoosh! Another massive explosion rang out, and a massive island appeared in the distance. The island was pitch black and completely bare. It's a sea beast. A Class 9 sea beast. Li Lingtian looked at the island in the distance as his expression changed. He did not expect to encounter a Tier 9 sea beast here. Although they knew that they had already entered the depths of the sea, and it was normal for them to encounter powerful sea beasts, they were still shocked by the appearance of the sea beasts. What a powerful sea beast! A Class 1 9th Order sea beast. Its huge body and visual impact are even more terrifying than demonic beasts. The sea beasts are coming towards us. Looks like this sea beast is targeting us. Huang Fuyuyan and the others looked at the huge and terrifying sea beast. Their faces changed, but they were more shocked and excited. Li Lingtian was a second firmament martial saint. Even though he was still far from a Tier 9 mystical beast, he was confident in slaying the sea beast. Rumble! 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 Kacha kacha! The enormous sea beast was as big as a mountain range. Its pitch-black body swam rapidly, and a shocking pillar of water shot into the sky with destructive power, causing the sky to tremble. When the water pillar reached this level of power, it was equivalent to the destructive attack of a martial god expert. Space cracked and the sky changed color. The sky was gray. With an earth-shattering sound, the huge sea beast arrived in front of the spaceship in the blink of an eye. Li Lingtian continued to dodge the attacks of the water pillars by using his spaceship. However, the water pillars were as dense as a storm and he could not dodge them at all. Yin, it's up to you this time. Ying will hold the line for you. Li Lingshan's lips curled into a faint smile when he saw the situation. He looked at Huang Fuyuyan and the rest whose expressions were constantly changing and spoke calmly. After that, he turned his head away from Huang Fuyuyan and the rest. Big brother Lingtian, you can't be, right? Such a terrifying sea beast. Are you willing to let your lovely wife fight it? Tang Ziming was stunned when she heard Li Lingshan's words. When she regained her senses, she quickly came to Li Lingshan's side and pleaded. Her jade-like hand tugged at Li Lingshan's arm and shook it continuously. However, her eyes were fixated on the terrifying sea beast below with a hint of fear on her face. Li Lingtian closed his eyes and observed his surroundings with his divine consciousness, while he dodged the attack skillfully. He ignored Tang Ziming's pleas. There were no other experts or sea beasts in this place. It was a good place to train Tang Ziming and the others. This was also the best experience. Such an opportunity was rare, so he naturally couldn't miss it. Sister Kgenji, Sister Mengmeng, let's attack. Your big brother Lingtian won't dote on you. Huang Fuyuyan looked at Li Lingtian and said to Tang Ziming before she giggled. Naturally, she understood Li Lingshan's intentions. Tang Ziming and the rest understood his intentions as well. They knew that Li Lingtian was doing this for their own good. Otherwise, Li Lingtian would have countless ways to deal with this sea beast. Yeah, Sister Mengmeng, you guys go ahead. I'll hold the fort for you. Xinyuan Yingying also laughed. However, as soon as she finished speaking, the 5 elements sacred body in her body was activated. The 5 elements Tao intent was also displayed, and her eyes revealed a serious expression. Even though she didn't make a move, it was the most important thing for her to hold the line. This was because the safety of Huang Fuyuyan and the others was in her hands. If there was any danger, she would be the first to deal with it. Chapter 843, Floating Island 1, 5 Elements Reincarnation. Huang Fuyuyan, Tang Qingyue, Shun Mei Tang Ziming and Qing Ling stopped talking. The true essence in his entire body circulated. Immediately, the powerful true essence spun rapidly, and the 5 true essence gradually fused together. At the same time, the 5 of them turned into 5 rays of light in the air. The 5 rays of light formed a ring and kept flashing. In an instant, a magical and powerful formation was formed. Originally, they were only at the 7th heaven of the martial emperor realm. However, after joining forces, the power produced was extremely powerful. This aura was completely able to compete with the pressure of the sea beasts below. Li Lingtian opened his eyes and with a wave of his hand, the pressure that was resisting the sea beast dissipated. He had completely handed over this terrifyingly powerful sea beast to Huang Fuyuyan and the others. Since he wanted to train them, he had to hand it over to them completely. No matter what methods they used, it was all their business. Rumble! With a loud explosion, the pressure of the five elements reincarnation and the pressure of the sea beast collided. The sea area shook, and shocking waves soared into the sky. However, just as the waves were about to hit the flying ship, Huang Fuyuyan cast a spell seal with one hand. Immediately, a mysterious force pressed down on the waves. Crash. With a crashing sound, a mysterious power offset the terrifying waves. At the same time, Tang Qingyue and the others also launched terrifying attacks at the sea beast. If the five of them did not join forces, they would only be at the 7th level Martial Emperor realm. With the power of a 7th level Martial Emperor realm, even a level 1 rank 9 sea beast would not be affected by their attacks. However, when the five of them joined forces, their power would immediately be heaven-defying. The destructive attacks were like meteors that continuously bombarded the aquatic beast's body. Moo! Moo! The sea beasts roared, tearing through the air. I didn't expect your wives to join hands. It's beyond my imagination. Bei Minxue said to Li Lingtian as she watched the battle on the sea. She did not expect that the combined power of the 5 martial Supreme Realm girls could actually fight against a martial God Realm sea beast. Although he had heard that they were very powerful when they worked together, he only felt terrified after seeing them in person. Of course, the corners of Li Lingxian's mouth curled into a faint smile. His face was filled with pride. Humph, look at your smug look. Bei Minxue was stunned. She didn't expect that the man who could stand up to the heavens and make all the experts in the world tremble in fear would also be like this. It was completely beyond her imagination. Thinking back, the young man in front of her was only 24 or 25 years old, 2 years younger than her. Moreover, such a heaven-defying monster was naturally cultivating most of the time. It was naturally very normal for him to have a child's temperament now. To be able to see such an expert reveal his childish nature was also a blessing. It meant that this young man did not treat her as an outsider. Sister Shui. Yun Yaoyao called out softly when she saw Bei Minx's expression. A sly smile appeared in her beautiful eyes. Bei Minxue was instantly embarrassed. She had always been arrogant and aloof, never saying a word or smiling. She didn't expect that she would show her little daughter's side at this moment. Rumble. Moo moo. Above the sea, a shocking explosion and a terrifying roar mixed in. For a moment the sea seemed to be destroyed. Imprisonment. Stop. Destruction. At this moment, Huang Fuyuyan and the others had already circulated the 5 elements reincarnation to the limit. The 5 of them looked at each other and immediately released their strongest attack. In an instant, the huge sea beast was temporarily imprisoned. At the moment of imprisonment, the 5 of them fiercely bombarded the destructive true essence. Immediately, the sky and sea trembled, and a destructive water pillar shot into the sky. A 5-colored beam of light appeared in the void. The 5-colored beam of light fused with the 5 people's true essence. There was no time difference at all as the 5-colored beam of light bombarded the sea beast. Boom! With a shocking explosion, the 5-colored pillar of light directly penetrated the body of the sea beast. At the same time, the destructive power shattered the sea beast. The island-sized sea beast was torn into pieces at this moment. Xinyuan Yingying also made her move. Looking at the water pillar that soared into the sky, a smile appeared on her face. The water will of the 5 elements was activated. With a flick of her divine sense, the will of the great path of water controlled the water column in the air. With a wave of her hand, the shocking water column turned into seawater and fused with the sea area. The sky and sea area slowly recovered again. Yes. At that moment, Li Lingtian waved his hand across the air and a ray of light shot toward the sea beast. At the same time, he made a grabbing motion with his palm, and a fist-sized inner core returned to him. The inner core was covered in a black halo, and a terrifying demonic chi was emitted. The inner core of a level 1 9th grade sea beast is basically of the water attribute, and the water attribute is black. Li Lingtian looked at the inner core in front of him as he spoke slowly. He then took out a jade box and stored the inner core in it, before placing it back into the divine dragon ring. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Huang Fuyuyan and the others returned to the flying ship, their faces filled with excitement. It was indeed exciting to work together to kill a martial god-level sea beast. Even if the sea beast was clumsy and did not have the intelligence of a human, and its speed was also limited, It was still reasonable for it to be killed. However, even so, it had to be said that Huang Fuyuyan and the other's strength was enough to fight an ordinary martial god when they joined forces. Not bad. Your combined strength has increased quite a bit. It's rare for a 7th heaven martial emperor to kill a martial god sea beast. As long as your cultivation reaches the martial saint realm, the power of the 5 elements reincarnation will be even more powerful. Li Lingtian looked at Huang Fuyuyan and the others with a gentle expression as he spoke gently. He reached out and stroked Tang Ximing's hair gently. Let's go. Don't show off your love. Bei Minxue looked at Li Lingtian, Tang Ximing, and the others and smiled as she shouted at them. As a girl, she naturally felt uncomfortable watching others being affectionate. Li Lingtian was taken aback. He turned to look at Bei Minxue but did not say anything. Instead, he steered the spaceship and flew away. Above the sea, there was an endless dark sea and a blue sky. There were no flying objects or islands in sight. Even experts would feel irritated in such a sea area. Fortunately, there were quite a few people on the spaceship with Li Lingtian and the others. Instead, it was filled with cheers and laughter. Li Lingtian piloted the spaceship and scanned his surroundings with his divine consciousness from time to time, taking in everything around him. Time passed day by day. Along the way, they encountered many experts, but none of them made a move. They were all looking for the location of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. In the depths of the blue sea, there was a cloud of mist. The clouds blocked the deepest part of the sea, and one could not see what the deepest part looked like. Within the clouds and mist, there was a floating island that was tens of thousands of miles away. A floating island. This island is not in the sea area. Instead, it's floating hundreds of miles above the sea. I wonder how big this floating island is and what it looks like. However, there was a palace not far away from the island. The red pavilion in the palace was flashing with a faint light. Moreover, there was a mysterious light floating above the palace. The mysterious light was like a colorful cloud floating, but these lights were always around the palace. The spiritual energy in the sky and sea constantly entered the palace. The more spiritual energy there was, the more light there was on the palace. At this moment, there were already countless experts gathered on this floating island. All the experts who came here looked at this palace in shock, completely attracted by the mystery of the palace. At a glance, there were more than 200 experts here. Moreover, the powerhouses who came here were all 9th heavenly layer martial saints. The rest were martial gods with extremely terrifying strength. That is the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Is this the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace? What a mysterious aura. I didn't expect this to be the legendary Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. It is indeed mysterious and ethereal. Yes, I am. I wonder what kind of powerful treasures there are in the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace that opens once every 2,000 years. I wonder when this Immortal Palace will open? It should be soon. I have already calculated that the opening time of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace is about half a month later. If it's half a month, I wonder when the token will appear. There are so many people here but only 99 tokens. It seems like another earth-shattering battle will occur. On the floating island, countless experts were discussing. However, the experts in this place did not dare to provoke any trouble. Because if they really caused trouble here, the other experts could easily kill one of them. No one wanted to die before entering the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, unless they were fighting for the token. Swoosh, swoosh. From time to time, more experts flew over from the island. When they saw the palace on the island, they were all extremely surprised. As time passed, the number of experts on the floating island increased. However, there was still no news about the token of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. The Xiaoyao Immortal Palace opens once every 2,000 years. 5 days later, 99 tokens will be scattered on the island. Gather 99 tokens to open the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Otherwise, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace will appear again in 2,000 years. At this moment, an ethereal voice came from the Immortal Palace. It was cold and emotionless. The voice came suddenly and left suddenly, causing all the experts on the floating island to be incomparably shocked. This sudden voice shocked countless experts. However, no one dared to make a sound, and no one made the slightest movement. 5 days later, everyone would fight for the 99 tokens. Now that they had 5 days, they could take advantage of the 5 days to recuperate. However, Li Lingshan's spaceship was flying at a high speed in the ocean that was tens of thousands of miles away. At this moment, Li Lingshan's expression turned anxious. After all, it had been a long time, but he had yet to discover any trace of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Moreover, he would encounter powerhouses in the sea area from time to time, which was fraught with danger. These 2 days he killed 6 or 7 Tier 9 sea beasts and even killed 2 martial god powerhouses. If this continued, the matter of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace would be in vain. Chapter 845. Escape 1. Just as the blue-robed scholar was being restrained, Bei Mingxia's Moonlight Divine Sword shot out. Suddenly, the Moonlight Divine Sword burst out with a moonlight-like sword light. The sword light was still like moonlight, and its speed ignored the distance between space and time. It entered the glacier and bombarded the blue-robed scholar's body fiercely. Wind shadow. Just as the sword light landed on the glacier, the blue-robed scholar in the glacier reacted. Destructive true essence exploded out. The moment the sword light hit his body, his entire body turned into a shadow and left the glacier like a breeze. Gotcha! Crash. In the face of the destructive sword light, the glacier could no longer withstand the heaven-defying pressure of the sword light. It could no longer withstand the tearing force of the martial god and finally exploded. The glaciers in the sky and the frozen sea turned into fragments at this moment. The sea regained its calm. Moonlight shadows sword rain. Heaven extreme tyrant emperor saber desolate 10 consecutive slashes. Once the battle began, there was no possibility of stopping. Fighting with such a monstrous martial god expert, the slightest distraction would dissipate into thin air. The first move was almost flawless, but in front of the martial god it completely missed. Taking advantage of the fact that his opponent had yet to attack, Bei Mingxia swung her Moonlight Divine Sword once more. At the same time, Li Lingtian unleashed his Celestial Extreme Tyrant Saber. Instantly, a shocking saber intent appeared and 10 saber flares slashed down from the sky. At this moment, Xinyuan Yingying activated her 5 elements sacred body as well. The destructive metal will of the Wei was augmented by Li Lingshan's blade radiance. Instantly, 10 saber flares and thousands of sword raindrops crisscrossed in the sky above the sea. When the 3 of them attacked, their joint attack could be said to be flawless. The golden body is not damaged, and the power of the martial god is added to the body. The azure-robed layman never expected Li Lingtian and the other 2 to be so terrifying. They were not some pretty boy at all. They were not inferior to the martial god powerhouses at all. Destructive attacks and miraculous methods almost caused him to die. The first move had forced him to cast Shadow Breeze to escape the disaster. However, just as he turned into a shadow, Li Lingtian and the other man's destructive attack came at him again. Immediately, the blue-robed scholar cursed in his heart. What kind of low-level martial artist was this? They were 3 freaks. Looking at the space that was almost torn apart, the destructive sword rain and saber light had already arrived in front of him. It was already too late to dodge, so he could only use the martial god's strongest defense to block this move. As long as he could block this move, he would use a heaven-defying divine ability to eliminate the 3 of them. When the golden body was unleashed, his entire body was like a golden Buddha statue. The power of the martial god was also unleashed at this moment. Boom! Gotcha, gotcha. In the blink of an eye, Bei Mingxia and Li Lingshan's attacks had already landed on the layman in indigo. A shocking explosion immediately erupted. The blue-robed scholar's body kept trembling as he endured the bombardment of the saber light and sword rain. Roar! At this moment, the azure-robed scholar let out a roar, and a terrifying martial god's power erupted. The saber light and sword rain were blasted away. Hush! Li Lingtian and the other 2 retreated rapidly with horrified expressions on their faces. They did not expect the other party to be able to withstand a peerless divine artifact and a heaven-grade divine ability so forcefully. He even repelled the 3 of them. The strength of a martial god was indeed not something that a martial saint could imagine. Moreover, Bei Mingxia was a first-layered heaven martial god expert, and she was using the Baiming family's peerless divine artifact. Even so, the 3 of them couldn't hurt the blue-robed scholar. Unexpectedly, when Li Lingtian and the other 2 were repelled, a strange aura penetrated Li Lingshan's arm without any warning. A tiny hole appeared on Li Lingshan's arm. The tiny hole was emitting a mysterious aura that was constantly eroding Li Lingshan's meridians and true essence. Li Lingshan's expression changed drastically when he saw this. Bei Mingxue and Xinyuan Yingying were also shocked. This situation had completely exceeded their expectations. This was the first time Li Lingtian had been injured by such an attack since he started his cultivation. Moreover, he was injured without anyone noticing. How could they not be shocked? Swoosh swoosh. Seeing the injury on his arm, Li Lingtian quickly used his other hand to cast a series of hand seals in an attempt to stabilize his injury. However, no matter what technique he used, he could not expel this mysterious aura. Instead, it became more and more powerful. Li Lingtian was shocked to see this. Just now, he was not prepared at all and was attacked by this aura. Fortunately, the instinct of an expert made him forcefully move a little, which avoided the fatal blow. If it had hit his chest, glabella or dantian, he would have died by now. How is it? Bei Mingxue and Xinyuan Yingying asked in unison, their faces filled with anxiety. The opponent was so powerful that even Li Lingtian was injured. It was truly unimaginable. Furthermore, the situation was not looking good. The martial god powerhouse was still eyeing them like a tiger. If it were not for Li Lingtian, the three of them would be finished. It's nothing. Li Lingtian smiled faintly when he saw Xinyuan Yingying and Bei Mingxue's anxious expressions. Then, he looked at the blue-robed scholar in the distance and was extremely shocked. The third level of the martial god realm was indeed not something that ordinary martial gods could compare to. He was at the second sky of the martial saint realm. It was simply courting death for him to encounter such a martial god expert. However, the blue-robed scholar didn't look that good either. Although the destructive saber light and sword rain didn't hurt him, he looked extremely ugly. Hemph Jr., you do have some skills, but it's already over. Die. The azure-robed layman was shocked to see Li Lingtian dodge his fatal blow. However, as long as one was hit by this attack, not to mention a martial saint, even a martial god would lose half their life if they did not die. When the three of them joined forces just now, he felt the threat of death. He was extremely unhappy with this feeling, and had already developed killing intent towards the three of them. Go back to the Divine Dragon Ring. I'll take you guys away first. Li Lingtian noticed that the blue-robed layman's true essence was already circulating, and it seemed like he was about to unleash his ultimate move. The situation was not looking good, so he had to leave first. With that, he activated the Divine Dragon Ring with his divine sense. He immediately called the two of them into the Divine Dragon Ring, and looked at the blue-robed scholar coldly. When he saw the blue-robed scholar, his expression changed drastically. A blood-red light appeared in the blue-robed scholar's hand, and the light continuously devoured the spiritual qi in the space. Li Lingtian felt a sudden sense of discomfort at the sight of the blood-red radiance. True dragon qi. All the vital essence in his body disappeared, and the true dragon qi in the Divine Dragon Ring entered his body. Immediately, a terrifying dragon qi appeared. The true dragon body barrier was used to block the pressure in the air. True dragon body protection. 6th level. Yinglong power incarnation. Li Lingshan's eyes twitched when he sensed the aura of death in the space. The blood-red radiance continued to surge, and in an instant, the destructive blood-red radiance came crashing down on him. The appearance of the blood-red light caused the space to tremble. Arcs of light appeared in the sky, flashing like lightning. At that moment, Li Lingtian dared not hesitate anymore. With a flick of his divine consciousness, he unleashed the shocking true dragon body barrier. Roar! A roar sounded, and the earth-shattering roar shook the sea. A 1,000-meter-long winged dragon appeared in the air and flapped its 100-meter-long wings. At that moment, Li Lingtian did not try to resist the blood-red radiance. Instead, he flapped his gigantic wings. Gotcha! Boom! Roar! With a flap of its wings, it traveled 1,000 miles in an instant. The huge Yinglong body had already disappeared into the air. However, when it disappeared, the sound of space tearing sounded, followed by an explosion. Screams sounded and gradually disappeared in the air. Peace was restored above the sea. The azure-robed scholar was enraged when he saw Li Lingshan's trio escaping. Damn it! You are the first to escape from my original Bodhi's purgatory. Even if you escape, don't even think about living. The blue-robed scholar looked at the void. While he was furious, he was also extremely shocked. He did not expect a martial saint youth to be so terrifying. His 2 killing moves had been dodged by this youth. If he hadn't been at the 3rd firmament of the war god realm, he would have been killed along with his terrifying defense. Thinking of the terrifying power of the blood purgatory, a cruel smile appeared on his face. Above the boundless sea there was not a single island or living creature. A 1,000-meter-long winged dragon flapped its huge wings. Every time it flapped, it would travel 1,000 miles in an instant, and space would also be torn apart. However, there was a terrible wound on Yinglong's body. There was no blood on the wound, but it was corroded by a strange bloody aura. At this moment, Yinglong spat out a mouthful of blood and his body swayed in the air. After flapping its wings fiercely, its huge body streaked across the void and entered a cloud. However, he used up his last bit of strength and was severely injured. The incarnation could no longer hold on. Just as Yinglong was about to stop, he transformed into Li Lingshan's true form. Li Lingshan's lips were stained with blood and his face was deathly pale. After transforming into his original body, he spat out another mouthful of blood. A finger-sized hole appeared in his chest. The bloody aura continued to corrode his body. Coupled with the injury on his arm, his true essence was rapidly consumed. Divine Dragon Ring activate. Looking at the vast sea of fog, Li Lingtian was at a loss for direction. Moreover, he was completely powerless now. It was impossible for him to find a place to rest and recuperate. He activated the Divine Dragon Ring with his divine consciousness. The space trembled slightly as Bei Minxue and the others appeared in front of Li Lingtian. Looking at Li Lingshan's swaying body, the injuries on his chest and arms, and his pale face, they were all shocked beyond words. Without hesitation, Huang Fuyian quickly supported Li Lingtian and suspended him in the air. Yun Yaoyao also took out her spaceship, and everyone returned to their new spaceship. I recommend the new book, Ancient Sage Myriad Ancient King. Everyone is welcome to read it and save it. I need everyone's support. Only with everyone's support can the new book go further. Everyone, please collect the Eternal Holy King first. Well, look at it after you've fattened up. Thank you, everyone. Chapter 846. Gathering of Experts. How are you? Where is the blue-robed scholar? Everyone returned to the spaceship. Bei Minxue and the others looked around, feeling a trace of fear towards this vast sea of fog. He was even more wary of the azure-clothed scholar, who had injured Li Lingtian. Bei Minxue did not see Layman Qingyi, so she quickly asked Li Lingtian. I was attacked by the blue-robed scholar. I used 1,000 miles in a flash to escape. I wonder if the blue-robed scholar has caught up? You guys drive the flying ship forward first. I need to heal my injuries, Li Lingtian said weakly. In the end, when he felt the frightening attack unleashed by the layman in indigo, he did not dare to defend himself. In fact, he did not have the chance to do so. He could only quickly use the true dragon body protection to escape 1,000 miles in an instant. He kept teleporting along the way, completely disregarding everything. Along the way, he had flown for an unknown number of thousands of miles, and he didn't know if the blue-robed scholar had caught up. However, looking at the current situation, the blue-robed scholar had yet to find him. Moreover, his injuries were extremely serious now. If he did not recuperate in time, he would definitely be destroyed by this injury. Alright, you heal your wounds. I'll control the ship. Bei Minxue looked at Li Lingtian. It was her first time seeing Li Lingtian so severely injured. At the same time, she was shocked. Li Lingshan's severe injury was partly due to her. If Li Lingtian had not endured it alone, she would not have been able to withstand the attack of the layman in indigo with her defense alone. Although she was a martial god, her defense was miles ahead of Li Lingshan's. Since Li Lingtian was injured, it was hard to imagine what would happen to her as well. Li Lingtian was able to stand out alone at a time of danger, and shelter them from the wind and rain. It was indeed a heart-wrenching sight. A real man and friend would be able to withstand all dangers for you when you were in danger. After saying that, he helped Yun Yaoyao pilot the spaceship, which quickly flew into the clouds. Li Lingtian was helped into the spaceship by Huang Fuyuyan and the others. Huang Fuyuyan, Tang Zhenji, Shan Mei Tang Ziming, Qingling, and Xinyuan Yingying followed suit. Help me protect my mind. I'll think of a way to treat this injury. Li Lingtian sat cross-legged in the spaceship's room as he spoke to Huang Fuyuyan and the others. This time he was seriously injured. Internal injuries were nothing, but the injuries on his arms and chest were the main ones. His 2 wounds were being corroded by a strange power. If he didn't get rid of them, he wouldn't be able to recover at all. Not to mention recovering, as long as he circulated his martial arts, his injuries would worsen. Naturally, he didn't dare to let Huang Fuyuyan and the others use their energy to heal him, so he could only think of a way to heal his 2 wounds first. All right, be careful. Huang Fuyuyan nodded. At the same time, Tang Zhenji and the others circulated their vital essence. She carefully helped Li Lingtian to protect his mind so that his injuries would not corrode it. Swoosh, swoosh. Li Lingtian closed his eyes slightly and began to ponder on how to resolve this injury. After thinking for a long time, he finally cast a series of hand seals. After the hand seals appeared, a cold ice flame appeared in the surroundings. The ice flame enveloped him, and the true yuan of Tang Qingyue and the others was also rapidly weakened. But seeing this situation, they didn't dare to retract their primeval essence. The appearance of the ice flame froze Li Lingshan's entire body. However, the terrifying and mysterious ice flame continued to burn him, yet it was unable to burn him. However, when it encountered the icy flames above his chest and arms, it quickly devoured and refined the mysterious aura. In just a moment, the wound on Li Lingshan's arm started to bleed. The smell of blood on his chest was also being refined by the cold ice flame. Half an hour later, the mysterious aura and power on the 2 wounds were removed, and blood flowed out. The expression on Li Lingshan's face gradually relaxed when he saw this. As long as the aura and power on the wound were resolved, everything else would be easy to handle. Yes, with a flick of his divine consciousness, the icy frost flame was retracted. Tang Qingyue and the rest's vital essence were also integrated into Li Lingshan's dantian. Li Lingtian quickly cast a few incantation gestures to stop the bleeding after he retracted the ice flame. Following that, Huang Fuyuyan and the others helped Li Lingtian heal his wounds. After the dual cultivation, they could use each other's true essence. Naturally, he was able to heal himself at an extremely fast speed. This time, Li Lingshan's injuries were basically 2 wounds. Once the wounds were healed, the problem would be resolved. Half a day later, Li Lingtian and the others walked out of the room. After he walked out, he realized that the spaceship was still in the air and was not flying. Have you recovered from your injuries? Bei Minxue and the others asked when they saw Li Lingtian coming out. They noticed that he looked energetic and healthy. It's already done. I didn't expect this green-robed scholar to be so terrifying. The cultivation technique he cultivates is also extremely vicious. If I encounter him next time, I'll definitely teach him a lesson. Li Lingshan's face cracked into a cold smile as his killing intent toward the azure-robed scholar rose. This time he almost died. If he didn't kill this blue-robed scholar, it really wouldn't make sense. However, after he finished speaking, he saw a strange smile on Bei Minxue's face. Moreover, the experts who entered the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace would be even more intense, even described as tragic. This time, there really are many experts gathered here. There's finally a day where you can give me a sense of oppression. I hope you won't disappoint me. Li Lingshan's expression changed several times after he heard Bei Minxue's words. Gradually, his expression turned excited. Ever since the day she rose up, although she had encountered countless life and death tribulations, she had walked step by step and did not give her much pressure. At the very least, it gave him a lot of pressure before the competition. But fortunately, no one on our spaceship knows. Only Yao Yao and I know. As long as the blue-robed scholar doesn't say anything, no one will know our strength. Moreover, these experts are all overlord-level experts. They won't join forces at all. At least not for the time being. Bei Minxue and the others smiled when they saw Li Lingshan's expression. They were also concerned about Li Lingshan's words. However, no one thought that Li Lingtian was arrogant because he had the ability to do so. In the end, Bei Minshua explained some of the things that happened on the island. This is good too. At least they don't know about Yu Yan and the others. We can catch them off guard. As long as we don't meet any experts joining forces, we'll have a chance to compete. Li Lingtian nodded earnestly in agreement with Bei Mingshu's words. Now that Yu Niaoyao and Bei Minshua were here, he could relax a little. After all, the two of them were very knowledgeable and powerful. Some of their methods were not something that ordinary people could do. Here you need to pay special attention to three people. Lin family's seventh young master Lin Jirong, Invincible Ruinous Army, Divine Wind Cloud River. These three are the best of the younger generation in the Divine Continent. The Blue-Robed Scholar is nothing compared to them. There are also other experts who are extremely powerful. After Li Lingtian finished speaking, Bei Minshua began to list out the few most powerful figures on the island. At the same time, he transmitted his voice softly and described the three men's appearances. He also told Li Lingtian their locations and reminded him to be careful. Please give me a monthly vote. Book friends, if you have a monthly vote, please vote. Chapter 847. 99 tokens, yes. Li Lingtian nodded earnestly. A person who could make the blessed daughter of the Baiming family feel powerful was certainly not simple. Moreover, the three people Bei Minshua mentioned were all powerhouses at the third level of the martial god realm. Although he was not at the peak of the third heaven, he was countless times stronger than the blue-robed scholar. Although such a comparison was somewhat unrealistic, it was enough to show the terrifying strength of the three experts. Li Lingtian was well aware of how terrifying the layman in green was. The three of them were more powerful than the layman in green, which was why he had to take them seriously. Alright, let's get some rest. We still have to compete for the token. During this period of time, it's best if Sister Yuyan and the others don't show their faces. Bimingsu used to be the holy emperor of the Mystic Moon Empire. Li Lingtian was already used to her swift and decisive style. After that, everyone rested on the flying ship and waited for the token to appear. Swoosh! On the island, experts would arrive from time to time. There were more and more experts. However, the experts who came to the island did not move at all. They waited quietly. Li Lingtian sat cross-legged in his room with his eyes slightly closed. He recalled the strength of the blue-robed scholar in his heart. At the same time, he checked his own strength and thought of a way to deal with the blue-robed scholar. The other party was an expert at the peak of the great circle of the third level of the war god realm. When the time came, he would definitely be an unavoidable opponent. Even if he didn't provoke him, he wouldn't let them off. After all, he had already recognized Bei Minshua. He wouldn't let Bei Minshua off because he was worried that the Baiming family would hunt him down. Even now, no one in the distant Xianzhou knew about Bei Ming's death. If Bei Minshua returned to the Baiming family and the Baiming family knew that he had attacked their genius, the Baiming family would only need to say a word to make him disappear. Therefore, his first opponent was the blue-robed scholar. Previously, he had fought with the blue-robed scholar and was even injured because the other party was too powerful. He did not know the other party's methods. There was no way he could change the martial god's cultivation level, but if he knew the other party's methods, he would more or less increase his chances of winning. As the saying went, knowing yourself and knowing your enemy would lead to victory. After an unknown period of time, Li Lingtian opened his eyes with a faint smile on his face. He had already thought of a way to deal with the blue-robed scholar. Although he didn't know if it would be effective, at least he wouldn't be flustered when the time came. After thinking about the cultivation techniques and divine powers he had to deal with, he felt extremely relaxed. The next step was to revise his divine powers and treasures, so that he could increase his chances of winning in battle. Rumble! A day passed and the island was in an uproar. A series of explosions sounded in the sky. These explosions came from the pressure of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, and the pressure triggered the heavenly might. At this moment, all the experts were excited because the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was about to take out the tokens. However, they did not know how to distribute the tokens. Li Lingtian and Bei Minshua walked out. With a wave of their hands, the spacecraft was retracted. The two of them floated in the air, watching the hundreds of experts boil. The two of them were looking forward to this Xiaoyao immortal palace. However, the two of them no longer took martial saint powerhouses seriously. Moreover, not many people knew them. After all, his name was the Free and Unfettered Empire, and it hadn't been long since the Free and Unfettered Empire attacked the Mystic Moon Empire and unified all the kingdoms. Those who knew of Li Lingshan's reputation were either super powerhouses or powerhouses from the Mystic Moon Empire. However, the powerhouses who came here basically did not recognize Li Lingtian. Even those who had heard of his name had never seen him before. Bei Minxue was even more so. Bei Minxue was the divine emperor of the Mystic Moon Empire, and she usually cultivated in the palace. Not many people had seen her before. The two of them floated in the air. The man's white clothes fluttered in the wind, and he was handsome. His elegant temperament made all the women in the world fall for him. The girl was also wearing a white veil. She looked elegant, and her temperament was out of the world. She was noble and peerless. The veil on her face covered her face, which increased the sense of mystery. The cold aura made people treat him like a celestial being, and they did not dare to have any thoughts of blasphemy. Such a combination was definitely a match made in heaven. Countless powerhouses were envious of them, but they were all scornful when they saw Li Lingshan's cultivation base. Anyone with a discerning eye would have mistaken Li Lingtian for a pretty boy at a glance. This was because Li Lingtian was only a second firmament martial saint, while Bei Minxue was a first firmament martial god. However, they were already preoccupied with the idea that Li Lingtian had attained the second firmament martial saint realm at the age of 24 or 25. It was definitely unprecedented in the divine martial continent. Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Here are the 99 tokens. At this moment, the pressure in the sky became even stronger, so much so that the experts on the island almost knelt on the ground. An ethereal voice rang out. The voice was filled with supreme majesty. Instantly, all the experts fell silent. The entire sea area also fell silent at this time. Only this voice floated in the air. 99 tokens are scattered all over the island. Each token has a corresponding connection. All the tokens must be gathered within 5 days. Otherwise, the world will collapse and the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace will only appear again in 2,000 years. The voice continued to echo. Li Lingshan's divine consciousness was so powerful that even a second or third heaven martial god powerhouse could not compare to him in terms of divine consciousness. But even so, he could not see the source of the sound. As the voice fell, 99 light spots strangely appeared in the air. There were traces of connections between the light spots, and the 99 light spots formed a mysterious array. Li Lingshan's heart skipped a beat when he saw the mysterious array diagram. He spat out a mouthful of blood. What happened to you? Bei Minxue was shocked when she saw Li Lingtian spurting out blood. Her concerned expression could be seen through her veil. In a moment of desperation, she grabbed Li Lingshan's arm with her jade-like hands and looked at him with her beautiful eyes. "I'm fine." What a terrifying array diagram. Li Lingtian spoke softly, his voice audible only to Bei Minxue. His eyes were fixed on the 99 tokens. Bei Minxue followed Li Lingshan's gaze but did not notice anything. She then realized that Li Lingtian was a divine array master with a heaven-defying array Dao. He could see through some heaven-defying arrays. She didn't know formation, so she naturally couldn't see anything. It was a blessing to be ignorant. Among the other powerhouses, a few of them were pale, but they were not as terrifying as Li Lingtian. When Li Lingtian looked at the 99 tokens again, they were spinning rapidly. It was unknown what the token was made of, but it emitted a mysterious aura. This aura was no different from the aura in Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Moreover, there were faint 5-colored colors on it. The flowing lights and colorful colors caused faint colorful clouds to appear in the sky. The entire sky was extremely beautiful. The token is on this island? This 1,000-mile-wide island has so many experts. Finding these tokens is simply a matter of minutes. How can it take 5 days? It's easy to find 99 tokens here. The people here are all martial saints and martial gods. They can find these tokens with their divine sense. That's right. At the very least, he's at the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. Not necessarily. Don't you see a second sky of the martial saint realm somewhere? On the island, countless experts were discussing. Indeed, on an island that was thousands of miles in size, it was easy to find tokens with light shadows. Even a Supreme Realm expert's divine sense could gather these tokens in a moment. The divine sense of a martial saint or martial god could remember everything he saw. Even if these tokens were to drift away, he could still use his divine sense to lock onto them. There were hundreds of experts here. It was naturally very easy for a few experts to lock onto a token with their divine senses. However, as the discussion reached the end, the powerhouses turned to look at Li Lingtian in the sky. This was because Li Lingshan's cultivation base was the lowest in this place. It was unsightly. If he was at the second sky of the martial saint realm in the Azure continent, he would definitely be a heaven-defying expert. However, he had become the most trashy expert here. While the powerhouses were discussing among themselves, Li Lingshan's lips curled into a faint smile. His smile was filled with disdain as he completely ignored these experts. Bei Mingxue was extremely satisfied when she saw Li Lingshan's smile. This was a true powerhouse. A giant dragon would not be an enemy of an ant. Let's keep an eye on the 33rd and 66th tokens first. Li Lingtian transmitted his voice into Bei Mingxue's ears and spoke in a serious tone with a faint smile on his face. Bei Mingxue was puzzled when she heard Li Lingshan's words. Her beautiful eyes looked at the tokens that had formed a mysterious formation in the air and quickly found the 33rd and 66th tokens. When she found the two tokens, her expression changed. This was because there were actually 4 third firmament martial god experts who had noticed these two tokens. However, before she could ask Li Lingtian about it, an explosion sounded in the sky. 100-meter-long red electric arc struck down fiercely. The electric arc came from the 9th heaven. In an instant, before the experts present could react, the electric arc struck the island. Immediately, all the experts were distracted and their divine senses left the token. The ground trembled as if the sky was about to turn upside down. This was not the end. Just as the ground trembled, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace on the island quickly became smaller. Let's go. Seeing this scene, all the experts were stunned. Only 3 or 4 experts reacted and quickly flashed their bodies. Bei Mingxue was also staring blankly at the transformation of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. However, Li Lingshan's voice rang in her ears. At the same time, her hand was grabbed by a large hand and her entire body was pulled away. She was then quickly sent flying into the distance. When she flew out, Xiaoyao Immortal Palace had already turned into a black dot and disappeared. At this moment, all the experts finally understood that it was not the disappearance of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, but the island was growing endlessly. In the blink of an eye, the 1,000-mile-wide island became hundreds of times larger and faster. The 99 tokens also turned into meteors and landed on the boundless island. Now all the experts knew that this island had become bigger. 99 tokens were scattered on the island. It was completely difficult to find them. Chapter 848. The 7th young master of the Lin family, how did you know that this island was going to become bigger? In the air, although Li Lingshan's speed could not reach 1,000 miles in an instant, he was still extremely fast. He was even faster than a martial god powerhouse's teleportation. Moreover, he had made preparations beforehand. He flew for a long time before the other experts flew. In the air, there was no living being anywhere. This was no longer an island floating in the air. It was an independent world. There was no sea at all. The two of them flew quickly in the air and chased after the meteor. Bei Mingxue felt the warmth of her hand, and her heart was beating fast. Her face was flushed red. Her entire being was being carried by Li Lingtian as her mind was filled with terror. After a long time, the moment she saw the two of them chasing after the shooting star was the moment Li Lingtian told her to keep an eye on the token. She had already woken up from what had just happened. Curious, she turned to Li Lingtian and asked, "I didn't know that this island would grow bigger." Li Lingtian burst into laughter when he heard Bei Mingxue's words. The changes on this island had also exceeded his imagination. However, he had seen through some of the mysteries on the 99 tokens. He knew that this terrifying array was not as simple as the idiotic ones below. Thus, he had asked Bei Minxue to keep an eye on the 2 tokens so that they could fight for them. You didn't know that the island would grow, so how could you ask me to keep an eye on the 33 and 66 tokens? And why did you chase after this token first? You clearly knew about it beforehand. Bei Minxue said in disbelief. She naturally didn't believe it. Although she was shocked by the changes in the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, she was still a martial god expert. She took Li Lingxin's reaction to heart. Li Lingxin's reaction was not unusual at all, as if he had known about it all along. I really don't know about the changes to the island. I only know that the formation formed by the 99 tokens is not simple. Even with my array Dao cultivation, I was still shocked by the array. So, I know that the 99 tokens are not as simple as those idiots below think. Moreover, the array formed by the 99 tokens, 33 and 66 are the core of the array. As long as you look at these 2 tokens, you won't be too far away. Li Lingtian flew at a high speed as he used his divine consciousness to lock onto the token while speaking to Bei Minxue. Bei Minxue was shocked when she heard Li Lingxin's words. The young man in front of her was 2 years younger than her. She did not expect him to have everything under control. He even calculated some heavenly secrets in his heart. Such a monster was really not something that geniuses could compare to. I see. He was shocked. If he were to really fight against this young man, it would undoubtedly be the greatest tragedy in his life. As he spoke, his divine sense also locked onto the meteor in the sky. Be careful. There are 2 powerhouses eyeing this token. One is a first heaven martial god realm sacred array master, and the other is a third heaven superpower house. Li Lingtian frowned as he spoke softly. He then sped up and the 2 of them left a trail of light as they shot into the sky like meteors. Upon hearing Li Lingxin's words, Bei Minxue channeled her true essence and was ready to strike at any moment. She had learned from Li Lingxin's way of doing things that no matter what she did, she had to find an opportunity and take the initiative to gam the initiative. Swoosh. A moment later, Li Lingtian and his companion landed with a surprised expression on their faces. In the sky, the meteor had already revealed its original appearance. It was a token that was emitting bursts of 5-colored halos. Within a meter of the token, there was a magical light that was floating in the air. When the 2 of them saw this scene, they were both incomparably surprised. However, at this moment 2 ear-piercing sounds rang out in the air. 2 figures landed on the ground one after another. They looked at the token floating in the air with a mysterious expression on their faces, but they did not fight for the token. Their eyes met, and the air was instantly filled with a strange and oppressive atmosphere. Just as Li Lingtian had said at the beginning, there was a third firmament martial god superpower house and a first firmament martial god holy array master. The 2 of them stood opposite each other. Together with Li Lingtian and Bei Minxue, they formed 3 factions. Be careful. This is the 7th young master of the Lin family, Lin Zhirong. He is extremely powerful. The 3 factions were separated by a few hundred meters as they looked at the token in the center. Beaming's cherry lips moved as she transmitted her voice into Li Lingxin's ears with a grave expression. Whoosh! 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 In the air, a strong wind appeared out of nowhere, causing the already oppressive aura to become even more oppressive. Li Lingtian looked at the stage 1 elder and the stage 3 Lin Zhirong as he schemed in his heart. With his and Bei Minxue's strength, they were confident that they could kill the old man. But it was impossible for them to defeat Lin Zhirong. However, he did not want to give up on this token. After all, it was not so easy to obtain a token. Moreover, with his personality and style, he would not let go of the items he needed easily. He had not even made a move yet, so he definitely would not leave just like that. This token, this young master wants it. None of you should fight with this young master. If this young master is happy, I can help you fight for 1 or 2 tokens. But don't provoke me because my name is Lin Zhirong. At this moment Lin Zhirong spoke, but his tone was extremely arrogant. With a look of disdain on his face, he looked at Li Lingtian and the others before shifting his gaze to the token. Is that possible? I want this token. You 2 should also not compete with me. If I'm happy, I might even let the two of you earn a sum of money. That's on the condition that you don't provoke me. My name is Li Lingtian. When Li Lingtian heard Lin Zirong's words, not only was he not angry, he even found it funny. This seventh young master of the Lin family was really fun. Looking at Lin Zirong's appearance, a figure appeared in his mind. This figure was somewhat similar to Lin Zirong in front of him, and the tone of their conversation was similar. That person was a friend he met in Skycloud Sek Shweta. She had not seen him for nearly 10 years. She wondered how he was doing now. Shweta was a big guy like a rough person. However, Shweta's talent was strong, and he had activated the earth bloodline. Li Lingtian had a good impression of her, as she had the weight of the earth and was loyal to her friends. The young man in front of him was definitely a super heaven-defying talent. He was also an earth-type powerhouse. Earth-type martial artists were more dignified. Although they were a little arrogant, they were not like those sinister and cunning people. From what he said just now, it was not difficult to see that this person was arrogant, but his words could be trusted. His heart suddenly relaxed as he spoke indifferently. Kiki. I don't dare to compete with Sir Ling Tian. Bei Minxue could not help but burst into laughter when she heard Li Lingshan's words. She did not expect Li Lingtian to be so funny. His words were exactly the same as Lin Zirong's. Sir, if you want this token, I can't agree, the old man at the first level of the War God realm said with an extremely serious expression. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and a compass appeared in his hand. On the compass were 12 exquisite small flags. This action was completely that of an array path expert. Furthermore, even if they were facing a super opponent, the array Dao expert would not have the slightest fear. This was because in the eyes of the array Dao expert, the most powerful thing in the world was still the array Dao. In that case, I want stand on ceremony. Lin Zirong's expression turned cold. A martial saint and a first firmament martial god actually dared to tease him. Wasn't this courting death? As the voice fell, the wind in the air became even stronger. The vital essence in Lin Zirong's body started to distort. The space was completely distorted in front of this vital essence. The cultivation of a third firmament martial god was on a completely different level compared to other martial god powerhouses. Moreover, the destructive power was even stronger than the green-robed scholar he had encountered earlier. The powerhouses of the Divine Continent were indeed incomparable to those of the Black Continent. Moreover, Lin Zirong was one of the best among the younger generation of the Divine Continent. Boom! With a dull thud, an earth-shattering pressure came crashing down from the sky. The pressure instantly enveloped Li Lingtian and the other two. Dang. The terrifying pressure forced Li Lingtian and the other two to retreat while Li Lingtian took a few steps back. Bai Mingxue and the old man both had a strange halo around their bodies. They also retreated a few dozen steps before stopping. Seeing this, Lin Zirong was shocked. The young man was only at the second sky of the martial saint realm, but he only took a few steps back in front of his pressure. His strength was even more terrifying than a martial god realm expert. One had to know that Bei Minxue was using the Dark North Divine Moon Art. The old man also controlled the array Dao, so he was able to resist the pressure. In front of the pressure, the strength of the three people was immediately revealed. Very good. Third firmament war god. Reaching this step is already heaven-defying. You said you want this token. It's not impossible. However, let's make a bet. How about it? If you win, I will give you this token. If you lose, you will have to keep this token and serve me for a year. Li Lingtian steadied himself and stood firmly on the ground with one foot. The true dragon's protective dragon energy blocked the opponent's pressure. At the same time, he waved his hand, and the heavenly demon domain was unleashed. Waves of mysterious defense blocked Lin Zirong's pressure. Lin Zirong was shocked when Li Lingtian managed to withstand the third firmament martial god's pressure. He was a third sky martial god expert. His abnormal methods and strength were rarely matched by people of the same level. This kind of strength could already be said to be heaven-defying. He originally thought that no one was more heaven-defying than him. He did not expect this young man to be so powerful. Chapter 849. A promise of one move bet. Are you kidding me? You're just a mere second sky of the martial saint realm. Do you think you're qualified to bet with me? Besides, if you win, you will get the token and you want me to work for you. If I win, I will just take the token. Is that fair? Lin Zirong's face was filled with anger after hearing Li Lingshan's words. A martial saint actually made a bet with him. Wasn't this a joke? Moreover, the bet was so unfair. It was simply intolerable. He was a dignified martial god expert, but he was fooled by a junior. Indeed, he could not let him off easily. You're a third firmament martial god expert, and am only a martial saint. Are you afraid? Are you afraid of losing to me? Li Lingtian looked at Lin Zirong's expression, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. In terms of cultivation base, he was no match for Lin Zirong. In terms of strength and scheming, Lin Zirong was still far behind Li Lingtian. As he spoke, the corners of his mouth curled upwards, revealing a hint of provocation. Nonsense. You're just a second sky of the martial saint realm. I can kill you with one finger. Lin Zirong was getting angrier and angrier. Even though he knew that the other party was trying to goad him, he had no choice but to save face. In that case, as long as you survive 3 of my moves, it will be your victory. Li Lingtian smiled in his heart as he continued to speak while his eyes were fixed on Lin Zirong. Bei Minxue and the old man were stunned. They had never expected things to turn out like this. Bimingsu was elated. Li Lingtian had been scheming against Lin Zirong step by step, but she did not know how Li Lingtian would defeat Lin Zirong. Lin Zirong was a martial god expert of the Divine Continent, one of the best among the younger generation. His strength was extremely terrifying. However, Bei Minxue soon understood. Damn it. You want to defeat me in 3 moves? What a joke. As long as you can withstand one of my moves, it will be your victory. Lin Zirong was furious. A martial saint actually said that he couldn't dodge 3 of his moves. It was an insult. In front of him, let alone a second sky martial saint, even if it was a second sky martial god, he was confident that he could kill the other party in one strike. Killing intent rose in his heart, and a strong killing intent appeared in the air. Suddenly, a murderous aura appeared between heaven and earth. The anger on Lin Zirong's face grew. He unleashed all of his true essence and the terrifying pressure became even stronger. It was so strong that Li Lingtian and the other 2 could barely move. Alright, this is what you said. As long as I survive one of your moves, you will lose. At that time, you will have to stay and serve me for a year. You will also have to leave behind your token. The smile on Li Lingshan's face widened. He retreated quickly, leaving Lin Zirong far behind. At the same time, Bei Minxue and the old man understood Li Lingshan's plan. They quickly retreated as well, afraid that they would be caught in the crossfire. Very good, you actually dare to scheme against me. However, no matter how cunning you are, in front of this young master, you will just vanish like smoke. Die. Lin Zirong finally understood that everything was Li Lingshan's scheme. He had fallen for it step by step. Thinking of this, he was extremely furious. He circulated the true essence in his entire body and stretched out his hand. A huge green sword appeared in his hand. The huge sword had a green luster on it. Immediately, a destructive sword chi erupted. The long sword was not used, but the space had already begun to tear. Metal will. Overlord's sword destruction. Lin Zirong's expression became serious. He circulated the 3rd sky of the martial god realm's vital essence to the extreme, sending waves of destructive vital essence into the long sword. At the same time, the will of the great path of metal erupted from his body. The will of the great path of metal of a martial god expert was extremely terrifying. Just this metal will of the great path alone was enough to make Bei Minxue and the old man sway. Endless will of the great path tore through their defenses. The 2 of them quickly retreated, retreating a full 10 miles away before they felt slightly better. Li Lingtian was shocked when he saw the metal will. The martial god's metal will was enough to kill any warrior sage powerhouse. The realm of cultivation was an existence that no skill could surpass. In the hands of a martial god expert, any skill could turn something rotten into something magical. When the metal will appeared, Lin Zirong's sword slashed down fiercely. Suddenly, the space was split into 2 halves as a destructive sword ray came crashing down on Li Lingtian. 5 elements Tao intent, true dragon body protection, heaven flipping seal, icebound 10,000 mile, freezing sky altar, desolate 10 consecutive strikes. Li Lingshan's inner yuan had been circulating to the maximum. He had used all sorts of schemes against such a heaven-defying powerhouse. If he lost the initiative, he would be doomed. When Lin Zhirong used the sword light, he could already feel Lin Zhirong's killing intent and anger. The limitless feather coat was activated, and the heavenly sword body and the 5 elements sacred body were also activated. When the sword light appeared, the defense of the true dragon body protection was used, and the 5 elements Tao intent was also used at this time. His body retreated rapidly, but as he retreated, he continuously used blocking attacks and defenses. In the end, he used the Heaven Up Seal and Icebound 10,000 Mile. As the last defense, the Freezing Sky Altar appeared in front of him. Behind the Freezing Sky Altar, he swung the Extreme Overlord Saber, and 10 saber rays slashed down. In the blink of an eye, Li Lingtian had already unleashed several attacks and defenses. He retreated 1,000 meters. In front of him was a glacier and a powerful defense. Only by performing this could he feel some peace of mind. After all, the destructive strike of the 3rd level of the War God realm had almost shattered his mind and spirit, and he had almost lost the will to resist. In the distance, Bei Minxue and the old man watched in shock at Li Lingshan's actions. His speed and calculations were precise to the extreme. Several defensive and offensive attacks were almost done in one go. If it was not for his previous calculations, it would definitely be impossible for him to display so many attacks and defenses. Between heaven and earth, the destructive sword radiance came crashing down like a divine might. The sword radiance sliced through the void and landed ruthlessly on Li Lingshan's defense. Kacha kacha rumble. Rumble. All of a sudden, the destructive sword radiance bombarded Li Lingshan's defenses, rendering them vulnerable like tofu. These defenses and attacks were practically non-existent. They did not block the sword light at all. The old man, Li Lingtian and Bei Minxue were all shocked by the sight. He didn't expect Lin Zhirong, who was at the 3rd heaven of the martial god realm, to be so terrifying with a casual strike. He wondered what kind of expert could withstand such terrifying power. Bei Minxue watched in horror as Li Lingshan's defense and attack were destroyed like rotten wood. Finally, the sword light struck the 10 saber lights. The saber light trembled and then disappeared. The sword light paused for a moment, but its power became even more terrifying. With an explosion, the sharp sword light hit the Freezing Sky God Altar. Instantly, Li Lingtian was sent flying along with Freezing Sky Altar, as if he had been struck by a heavy blow. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Freezing Sky Altar and Li Lingtian turned into a black dot and disappeared into the horizon. After the last dull thud, Li Lingtian and Freezing Sky God Altar vanished without a trace of aura or movement. The world finally quieted down. Bei Minxue's figure flashed as she flew toward Li Lingtian. At this moment, the old man's eyes were fixed on the token. His body swayed, and the compass in his hand emitted bursts of light. In an instant, a mysterious pillar of light appeared, and 12 array flags shot out. The pillars of light and array flags surrounded the token. This sudden change made Lin Zhirong even more furious. He had fallen into Li Lingshan's trap. It was not easy for him to kill Li Lingtian, yet this old man was the Oriole. However, before he could vent his anger, the array flags and the light pillar disappeared into thin air. Damn it! Lin Zhirong roared. He could only look up at the sky. The place where the token had originally been had become a mountain. Boom! Boom! Destructive attacks bombarded the mountain, as if they wanted to destroy the old man. However, the mountain emitted waves of rebound power, negating his attacks one by one. In the distance, Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood from the ground. His figure flashed as he rose from the ground. Bei Minxue was looking for Li Lingtian everywhere. When she suddenly saw Li Lingtian soaring up from the soil, she heaved a sigh of relief. However, Li Lingtian did not look like much at the moment. He was covered in mud. It was as if he had crawled out of the mud. His clothes were tattered, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. His eyes kept moving. Li Lingtian held the celestial pole tyrant emperor saber in his hand. The freezing sky altar was only the size of a palm. How are you? Bei Minxue hurried to Li Lingshan's side and asked with concern. I'm fine. I want die. What a terrifying attack. This is the first time I've encountered such a powerful attack. Sister Shui, take me there. Li Lingtian shook his head. As he looked at Lin Zhirong who was bombarding the mountain in the distance, Li Lingtian finally understood what was going on. That place didn't have a mountain peak before, but now there was a mountain peak. It must be an array master who cast a magical array. Moreover, that token had disappeared. Now, thinking about how terrifying Lin Zhirong was, he still felt a lingering fear. He had never met such a powerful figure. With one strike, he had destroyed his consciousness. Even after using so many terrifying defenses and attacks, he was still unable to block the other party's sword. If not for the desolate 10 consecutive slashes blocking the sword light at the end and the freezing sky altar blocking most of the sword light at the back, his limitless feather coat and true dragon body barrier would not have been able to block the sword light either. One had to know that even if he did not use the 6th layer of the true dragon body barrier, he could still block a martial god's empty-handed attack. Now, he understood Lin Zhirong's dominance and knew that the martial god's heaven-defying nature was not something a martial saint could compare to. He looked at Bei Minxue and said. However, he was also betting in his heart. He was betting on his taste. If he lost the bet, he would be in trouble. Boom! Second firmament of the war god realm. What a useless existence. Die! Yet another third-level war god was facing off against the second level. The third-level war god revealed a disdainful expression, and the pressure from his entire body erupted and pressed down fiercely. The world instantly fell silent, and even the air seemed to be imprisoned. The second firmament war god's eyes were filled with shock and despair. Right at this moment, a destructive force in the hands of a third firmament war god tore through space and struck the body of a second firmament war god. The second sky of the war god realm spat out a mouthful of blood, and his vitality gradually disappeared. The pressure in the air was also withdrawn by the third sky warrior. Life and death massacres could be seen everywhere on the island. The 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm experts were only at the bottom of the slaughter here. They did not even have the slightest chance to resist. They could still fight against martial saints of the same rank, but if they encountered martial gods they would only die. They would not even have the chance to escape. The only ones who could escape were the first and second firmament war gods. The two powerhouses had to escape before the powerhouse of the next level unleashed the destructive pressure. Otherwise, they would most likely die after being suppressed by the pressure. In this world, the strong were respected. The martial arts of this world also carried a strict law. No one could break this law. Li Lingtian and the other two stopped in front of a lake. In the center of the lake, a token was floating above it, about 2 meters above the surface of the water. The token was emitting a faint glow. Upon seeing it, a faint smile appeared on Li Lingshan's face. However, at this moment, several gusts of wind appeared in the air. A gust of wind blew and soon stopped. When the wind stopped, 6 figures appeared at the edge of the lake. Li Lingtian turned his head and looked at the approaching figure. The corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile that was laced with evil. There were 4 9th firmament martial saints, 1 first firmament martial god, and 1 second firmament martial god. When the 6 figures arrived at the edge of the lake, they looked at the token in the center of the lake with excitement on their faces. However, when they realized that there were other experts beside them, they did not dare to make a move. All of a sudden, they noticed Li Lingshan's group of 3 and spotted Lin Zhirong not far away. The 6 of them dashed away as if they had seen a ghost. The speed at which they left was countless times faster than the speed at which they came. A third firmament war god here, competing with a third firmament war god, wasn't this courting death? Seeing such an expert, he didn't even have the mood to fight and directly fled. Throughout their journey, Li Lingtian and the other two had encountered such incidents countless times. 2 days had passed. Li Lingtian and the other two had been searching for other tokens with the tokens they had. They already had 31 tokens in their hands. The more tokens he gathered in his hand, the stronger his sense of the other tokens. There was a third firmament martial god beside him. The other martial saints and martial gods turned around and fled when they saw him. Li Lingtian did not allow Lin Zhirong to conceal himself after realizing the situation. Instead, he swaggered away. In the past 2 days, he had also understood the true power between the levels of martial artists. He could make low-level martial artists fear and escape just by relying on his realm. In the past, he had been able to defeat and kill so many experts. Now that he thought about it, it was all because of countless luck, heaven-defying divine powers, treasures, and powerful cultivation techniques. Otherwise, he would have been killed countless times on this island. Third firmament war god, not bad indeed. Li Lingtian glanced at Lin Zhirong indifferently. The corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. I've fallen for your trick. Otherwise, I would have been able to kill you in 3 moves. Lin Zhirong looked at Li Lingtian and felt that Li Lingshan's words were sarcastic. He was extremely displeased. When the other martial god and martial saint saw him, they were like mice seeing a cat. Even a third heaven martial god did not dare to easily make a move. He did not expect his brilliant life to be ruined by a second firmament martial saint like Li Lingtian. However, he was shocked in his heart. This young man's strength was too terrifying. He was able to remain unscathed under his destructive attack. There was also that mystical array Dao that could even easily break the array of a holy array master. This young man was mysterious, powerful, domineering, and elegant. He gave off an unfathomable feeling. Even though he was at the third firmament of the war god realm, he was still a little wary of this young man despite his unwillingness. Then let's give it a try this time. Let's see just how powerful you are at the third firmament of the war god realm. If you lose to me again, I'm afraid you won't have any face left. Li Lingtian looked at Lin Zhirong's expression and revealed an enigmatic smile. There was no need to argue with him. Lin Zhirong felt that Li Lingtian was a mysterious person. This was because he could see the calm and confident expression on Li Lingshan's face at all times. He wondered where this calmness and confidence came from. Unless one had heaven-defying strength, one would not be so confident. Confidence came from a strong foundation. He did not understand how strong this young second sky of the martial saint realm was. Then let's give it a try, Lin Zhirong said coldly. He looked at Bei Mingxue with confusion and curiosity. For the past 2 days, Bei Mingxue had been following Li Lingtian. The relationship between the two was like that of a friend, yet it was not exactly a friend at the same time. This was because sometimes it would ruin their friendship. It was as if they were strangers, but Li Lingtian addressed her as Sister Shui. Moreover, he felt that this woman in white was definitely not simple. You still don't know this queen, right? You should be familiar with the Baiming family. Bei Mingxue was standing beside Li Lingtian. When she saw Lin Zhirong's expression, a smug smile appeared on her face behind her veil. Only Li Lingtian could see it from her side. As she spoke, she stretched out her slender hand, and an exquisite long sword appeared in her hand. The Baiming family. Moonlight Divine Sword. You are from the Baiming family, you are Bei Mingxue. When Lin Zhirong heard Bei Mingxue's words, he stared at the exquisite sword in Bei Mingxue's hand and jumped away as if he had been bitten by a poisonous snake. His eyes were filled with horror, as if he had seen a ghost. The Baiming family was one of the top 10 families just like his Lin family. Moreover, the Baiming family was even more powerful than his Lin family. The 3 most powerful treasures of the Baiming family, the Moonlight Divine Sword, were famous. He did not expect it to appear in the hands of this girl. In addition, Li Lingtian addressed her as Sister Shui, which immediately reminded her of the Baiming family's proud daughter, Bei Mingxue. It seems that there are still people who know of this queen. Bei Mingxue's voice carried a hint of a smile. Her peerless charm was intoxicating. Then, with a thought of his divine sense, the Moonlight Divine Sword disappeared and returned to his dantian. After he was done, he looked at Li Lingtian. Naturally, Li Lingtian understood that Bei Mingxue was helping him. Otherwise, he would not have revealed his identity. I didn't think that the genius of the Baiming family, Northern Nether Snow, would appear here. Isn't Northern Nether Snow the divine emperor of the mystic Moon Empire? Why didn't you come to the palace? Why did you come here with a man? Lin Zhirong was shocked. Even though he was wary of Li Lingtian earlier, he still looked down on a warrior sage powerhouse. Who would have thought that the girl beside this martial saint was Bei Mingxue? Bei Mingxue's status was definitely above his. Bei Mingxue was definitely like a child in the martial arts world. Among the martial arts experts, she was easily hundreds or even thousands of years old. Bei Mingxue was simply a little girl. However, Bei Mingxue was indeed very famous. She had reached the martial god realm at the age of 20. She was definitely a heaven-defying top-notch expert in the divine martial continent. Furthermore, Bei Mingxue was cold and elegant, and she kept people at a distance. No one had ever come close to her, but she was actually standing beside a young man. How could he not be shocked and curious? Chapter 852. Lin Zhirong shock when Kiki, the seventh young master of the Lin family, the favored son of heaven, didn't he come to the Black Continent? Bei Mingxue giggled. This was the first time she laughed in front of outsiders. Lin Zhirong was stunned. He didn't expect that the ice mountain would melt one day. Bei Mingxue, who was known as one of the top 10 most beautiful fairies in the divine continent, actually laughed in front of others. If the geniuses of the divine continent knew about this, they would go crazy over it. I came to Xianzhou for Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. As for Fairy Bai Mingxue, she's the holy emperor of the mystic Moon Empire, one of the 3 empires of the mystic continent. There shouldn't be a need for her to take the risk. Besides, if those geniuses of the divine continent knew that Fairy Bai Mingxue has a young man by her side, I believe Sir Lingtian would definitely be torn apart. Lin Zhirong forced himself to calm down as he spoke calmly. His gaze then shifted to Li Lingtian. He began to suspect that this young man was the person that Bei Mingxue liked. This was impossible. Bei Mingxue was one of the 10 fairies of the divine continent, the most beautiful fairy. The experts of the world went crazy over her. Naturally, she would not take a fancy to a young martial saint. Moreover, Bei Mingxue was the most talented super martial god expert. There was no reason for her to like a martial saint. Haha. Tear me apart? In this world, those who have the guts don't have the strength, and those who have the strength don't have the guts. I really like people coming to die. Let's see if they have the ability to tear me apart. Li Lingtian laughed out loud without restraint. He looked extremely excited and did not look afraid at all. Lin Zhirong's expression changed several times when he saw Li Lingxian's expression. He did not know Li Lingxian's background as there were no super clans or forces with the Li surname in the divine martial continent. 7th young master still doesn't know who he is. Bei Mingxue looked at Lin Zhirong's confused expression and said calmly. Her voice was like the sound of nature, extremely sweet. I really have never heard of it. The curiosity on Lin Zhirong's face grew. He then looked at Li Lingtian seriously, waiting for Bei Mingxue to speak. For a moment no one spoke. The air seemed to have solidified. After a long time Bei Mingxue spoke. Li Lingtian is 25 years old, 2nd firmament martial saint. The number 1 divine pill refiner in the divine martial continent. The pills he concocts are all of peerless quality, and he has concocted a peerless mutated great recovery pill. Grade 8 mutated spirit concentration pill. The first person in the Alchemist Guild to become an honorary elder before the age of 20. Bei Mingxue's sweet voice slowly sounded out. With a wave of her hand, the badge floated in the air and slowly floated toward Lin Zhirong. He stopped 1 meter away from Lin Zhirong as if he was being stabilized in the air. At the same time, Li Lingtian placed his hands behind his back. With a flick of his divine consciousness, 2 jade bottles appeared before him with a glint in his eyes. Then the 2 jade bottles flew towards Lin Zhirong, completely controlling everything with his divine sense. With this degree of control of the divine sense, there were simply not many experts who could do it. Even a martial god expert could not do it so easily. In the air, A badge and 2 jade bottles were floating. More than 10 pairs of eyes stared at the 3 items in the air, as if they were looking at a magical and heaven-defying treasure. They even forgot about the token in the center of the lake. The badge of the Alchemist Guild. It's indeed the badge of the Alchemist Guild. The last time this young master saw Heavenly Fire Saint Alchemist, it was this badge. The Divine Martial Continent's #1 Divine Alchemist, Li Lingtian. As expected, it's beyond my imagination. The Alchemist Guild actually acclaimed you as the Divine Martial Continent's #1 Alchemy Saint. Lin Zhirong looked at the badge, and his expression changed several times. This badge was not fake at all. In other words, Li Lingtian was indeed a holy alchemist. The status and identity of a holy alchemist was extremely high. However, he immediately saw the words on the badge. This badge was engraved with 8 exquisite purple gold flowers. There were also 9 small rune-like words on it. It was the name of the Divine Martial Continent's #1 Divine Alchemist, and on the back of the badge was the name Lingtian. It proved that this badge was a Saint Alchemist badge issued by the Alchemist Guild. Moreover, it was a level 8 Saint Alchemist, the #1 Saint Alchemist in the Divine Martial Continent. The Divine Martial Continent's #1 Divine Alchemist, Li Lingtian. Lin Zhirong was shocked when he saw the information on the badge. He had never thought that the young man before him was the #1 alchemy saint of the Divine Martial Continent. One had to know that the Alchemist Guild was extremely powerful. There were countless alchemy saint masters in it, but they just had to bestow this youth as the #1 alchemy saint master. One could imagine how powerful the alchemy Tao of this youth in front of him was. While he was shocked, the other experts were also shocked. The Alchemist Guild was spread across the entire Divine Martial Continent. Only spirit alchemists were basically part of the Alchemist Guild. The person in front of him was the #1 Divine Alchemist among the many almighty alchemists. Then Lin Zhirong looked at the 2 jade bottles in the air. He had already made up his mind. They were definitely level 7 or 8 pills. He opened the lid of the jade bottle with his divine sense. Immediately, a mysterious fragrance was emitted from the jade bottle, which made people feel excited. The experts were immediately attracted by the fragrance. They sniffed fiercely as if they wanted to absorb the medicinal fragrance. A finger-sized pellet floated in the air, emitting a faint arc of light. Looking at the arc of light, Lin Zhirong was shocked because this arc of light was left behind by the purple electric arc. In other words, this pill had received the pill tribulation and became a mutated pill. Looking at it carefully, he discovered that there were countless runes on the medicinal pill. They were left behind by the pill tribulation. The color was perfect, without the slightest impurity, and the quality had already reached the level of a peerless product. Grade 7 Great Rejuvenation Pill, a mutated peerless grade. As expected, it's a peerless grade 7th grade Great Cyclic Pellet. Lin Zhirong was shocked and could not help but say it out loud. He was the proud son of heaven of the Lin family. Naturally, he had consumed countless 7th grade Great Recovery pills, but he had never seen a top grade or peerless one. Moreover, there had never been a peerless pill in the Divine Martial Continent. Now, a peerless Great Cyclic Pellet had appeared in front of him. A peerless Great Cyclic Pellet was even more powerful than a top-notch Tier 8 medicinal pill. The degree of its preciousness was immeasurable. Because there were no peerless pills in this world, it was impossible to estimate. After looking at the Great Cyclic Pellet, Lin Zhirong put the pill into the jade bottle in shock. The jade bottle automatically floated in the air, as if it could float. Then, he shifted his gaze to another jade bottle. Without opening the jade bottle, his heart began to beat faster. The hearts of the other powerhouses were also thumping non-stop. For a moment, the atmosphere in the entire space was extremely oppressive. Everyone looked at the jade bottle, hoping that an even more heaven-defying pill would appear in the jade bottle. Ding! With a crisp sound, the jade bottle cap was open, but a fragrance was emitted from the jade bottle. It was as if the jade bottle was empty. This situation immediately confused the dozen or so experts. Lin Zhirong was also extremely puzzled, but he did not say anything. However, when his divine sense entered the jade bottle, his expression changed drastically. He retreated rapidly with an extremely ugly expression, as if he had seen a ghost, but he was also extremely reluctant. This commotion shocked the dozen or so powerhouses present. They didn't know what was inside the jade bottle that even Lin Jirong, who was at the third heaven of the martial god realm, was like this. At this moment, Lin Jirong took a deep breath and walked toward the jade bottle. His expression changed. There was shock and fear on his face, excitement and anticipation. Chapter 853. The Power of the Pill 1. The powerhouses present watched as Lin Jirong walked toward the jade bottle, and their hearts trembled with his footsteps. Soon Lin Jirong arrived in front of the jade bottle and used his divine sense again. This time he was no longer as shocked as before. Swoosh! With the sound of wind, an ancient pellet flew out. The pellet was also the size of a thumb, but it no longer had any fragrance. However, after the medicinal pill appeared, all the experts' hearts trembled. This was because the air seemed extremely quiet in front of this pill. Moreover, the pill emitted a mysterious spirituality like a living Holy Spirit, and it was the kind of spirituality that carried extremely high intelligence. Swoosh swoosh. Hoo-hoo. For a moment the medicinal pill spun and danced in the air, as lively as a child. Spirituality, powerful spirituality. The characteristics of a Tier 8 medicinal pill. Only a true Tier 8 medicinal pill would have such spirituality, and only a Tier 8 medicinal pill would have the chance to possess spirituality. Spiritual, a pill with spiritual properties. Tier 8 medicinal pill, it's indeed a Tier 8 medicinal pill. Yeah, only a Tier 8 medicinal pill has the chance to possess spirituality. This is a Tier 8 medicinal pill. All the experts could not help but start discussing. Their eyes turned strangely as the medicinal pills flew in the air. At this moment, their eyes and attention were all attracted by the medicinal pills. The pills danced and spun in the air before they flew toward Li Lingtian and revolved around him. Li Lingshan's face showed a hint of kindness as he smiled. Lin Jirong grabbed the pill with one hand and pulled it over. Although the pill had spirituality, it had been sealed before and did not have the slightest bit of resistance. If it was not sealed, even a martial god expert might not be able to easily catch it. A Raydao seal. The lightning crack mark is actually a Tier 8 medicinal pill that has experienced the pill tribulation. The color is perfect. There are no impurities at all. The quality has already reached an impeccable level. An 8th grade mutated, peerless spirit concentration pill. At this moment, Lin Zirong's voice started to tremble. As a super expert at the third heaven of the martial god realm and a proud son of heaven, he had seen countless treasures and pills. However, in front of this pill he was completely shocked and lost his composure. When he spoke word by word. All the experts were stunned. They could not believe their ears. However, the people here were all martial saints and martial gods. Naturally, they would not have misheard. Grade 8 spirit concentration pill, and a peerless variant? Too heaven-defying, too heaven-defying. As expected of the divine martial continents, number 1 divine alchemist. Even a god pill refiner might not be able to refine a peerless grade variant spirit concentration pill. Who else in the divine martial continent can refine peerless pills? Who else can refine a peerless and mutated medicinal pill? It's impossible for a second one to appear in the divine martial continent. The divine martial continent's number 1 alchemy saint is indeed a genius in alchemy. He's only in his 20s. It's not impossible for him to become the number 1 alchemy master in the divine martial continent in the future. It's not impossible. It's just a matter of time. No one can refine a peerless mutated pill at the same time. At this moment the dozen or so powerhouses were already beyond shocked. He stared at the medicinal pill. There was an array formation seal on it, but he could see the quality and grade of the medicinal pill. At this moment, although everyone did not bring the medicinal pills in front of them to size them up, their powerful divine senses simply ignored this distance. Almost all of them sized up the medicinal pill. This medicinal pill was definitely a peerless mutated spirit concentration pill. For a moment everyone was stunned. Lin Jirong was also extremely shocked. He still could not believe that he would meet such an existence one day. In his opinion, the third sky of the martial god realm was already a transcendent existence in the divine martial continent. In addition to his strength and methods, He was almost invincible. There was nothing that could shock him. However, a medicinal pill had almost made him lose his composure. "I'll give you these 2 pills." Among those present, only Li Lingtian and Bei Minxue were awake and relaxed. Bei Minxue had seen Li Lingshan's pills before, and had already experienced it a few times. It was natural for her to do so. Li Lingtian spoke indifferently with a smile on his face. To him, refining this pill was just a matter of time. "Give it to me?" Lin Zhirong could not believe Li Lingshan's words. To him, this elixir was definitely not as precious as some middle-grade superior-grade divine artifacts. To a third heaven martial god like him, he would rather have this elixir than a divine artifact. This was because this medicinal pill could give him a chance to break through. Breaking through to the first stage could increase his strength in an all-round way, allowing his body to sublimate. Moreover, this elixir was definitely unique in the divine martial continent. Only Li Lingtian could refine it. Naturally, she was shocked when she heard Li Lingtian say that he would give her the elixir. Merely a Tier 8 medicinal pill. Li Lingtian looked at Lin Zhirong's expression, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. There was a hint of indifference in his smile. It was just like how this medicinal pill was a trivial matter to him. It was indeed the case. To him, this medicinal pill was indeed not worth mentioning. He only needed some time. After hearing this, all the experts were stunned. Their faces revealed a crazy expression, and then they had the urge to kill. Such a pill was a heaven-defying existence, yet it was so worthless in Li Lingshan's eyes. How could he not be devastated? However, even though this young man was only a martial saint, no one dared to provoke him with his current status. He was the divine martial continent's #1 saint alchemist, the honorary elder of the Alchemist Guild, and the hundreds of thousands of top alchemists under the Alchemist Guild. Who could provoke him? Thank you, Sir Lingtian. In the future, if Sir Lingtian needs this book or me, please feel free to instruct me. Seeing Li Lingshan's expression, Lin Zhirong was certain that he was not joking. He excitedly put away the pills and used his true essence to pass the badge to Li Lingtian. He said seriously. Originally, he still called himself this young master, but he felt that it was inappropriate, so he changed it to me. Li Lingtian and Bei Minxue witnessed this change and knew that Lin Zhirong's heart had been defeated by the pill. "Alright, let's not talk about anything else. I can easily refine your pills. I can also refine peerless pills that the divine martial continent can refine. I can also refine pills for you that others can't." Li Lingtian revealed a serious smile that was brimming with confidence. This was a kind of confidence in his strength because he had the ability and strength to be confident. Whoosh! Instantly the experts were in an uproar. What else could they ask for if they could obtain the title of the divine martial continent's #1 alchemy saint? Their cultivation base would simply rise in a straight line. It was completely a cheating tool for martial artists. Lin Zhirong was shocked as well. He did not expect Li Lingtian to behave like this. However, Li Lingshan's alchemy skills were indeed powerful. He was so powerful that the 5 of them could match him. Hence, it was a piece of cake for him to do these things. The prerequisite was that Li Lingtian had to be in a good mood. If the other party was unwilling to refine pills, he could play with the pills to death. Lin Zhirong doesn't want to thank you, but you will understand in the future. Lin Zhirong's expression was extremely serious. He no longer looked down on Li Lingtian. Behind him was the Alchemist Guild and the Baiming family. These two alone were not something any powerhouse could afford to provoke. Furthermore, no one was willing to provoke Li Lingtian with his status. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would never provoke a spirit alchemist, let alone a saint alchemist. As for the #1 saint alchemist of the divine martial continent, even a fool would not want to provoke him. Get lost. His tone toward Li Lingtian was polite and did not carry the airs of a third heaven martial god powerhouse. However, after turning around, he looked at the dozen or so experts with cold eyes and roared. His tall figure and loud voice were like thunder, almost scaring the dozen or so experts to death. Swoosh, swoosh. So, when the voice fell, more than a dozen experts wished they had 2 more legs. They did not dare to stay here for a long time. Even though he wanted to curry favor with a saint alchemist, he was afraid of a third firmament war god powerhouse. The sound of air being torn apart rang out in the sky. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 experts disappeared. The power of the third firmament of the war god realm was truly not for show. Just this realm alone made all the powerhouses tremble in fear. Li Lingtian did not hesitate when he saw that all the powerhouses had left. In a flash, he arrived at the center of the lake and kept the token. "He's my sister's friend and also my friend," Bei Mingxi's sweet voice rang out after Li Lingtian returned. This was also the answer to Lin Zirong's earlier curiosity about why she was with Li Lingtian. "I see." Lin Zirong's face revealed an expression of "I see." However, he was no longer surprised. Although Li Lingxian's cultivation was only at the martial saint level and he did not seem to have a high cultivation level, Li Lingtian was only in his 20s. Furthermore, he was the #1 alchemy saint of the divine martial continent. With such strength and status, he was definitely a monster among monsters. "Let's go and find some more tokens," Li Lingtian replied calmly before he swiftly flew into the distance. Bei Mingxue quickly followed behind. Lin Zhirong followed without hesitation. The three of them flew quickly on the island. The more tokens they held, the larger the area they could sense. Li Lingtian and Bei Mingxi's cultivation base was nothing on the island, but with Lin Zhirong around, they were invincible. Wherever they passed, they would either be killed or handed over the token. Along the way, he was successful in almost everything, but there were also times when things didn't go his way. After the three of them left the lake, they flew in the air like meteors and fought for some tokens. On the third day, the three of them suddenly stopped, and their faces revealed a surprised expression. Chapter 855. Dark Dao Intent 1. The 1,000-meter-long Yinglong emitted an aura that tore through space in the air, causing the space to tremble. Its huge wings were 100 meters long. Every time it flapped, the destructive wind seemed to destroy the world. Yinglong Incarnation. Dragon Clan Cultivation Technique. Lin Zhirong looked at the sky in shock. At this moment he felt extremely small in front of the huge and terrifying Yinglong. Dragons were the legends of humans and the supreme beings of the demon race. They were also a high-level race that could destroy the world. It was in his nature to revere dragons. Now that Li Lingtian had transformed into a 1,000-meter-long winged dragon, Lin Zhirong was completely shocked. He was a third sky martial god expert, and his combat strength was at the top of the pyramid in the divine martial continent. Coupled with the strength of the Lin family, he naturally knew some things about the dragon race. At the very least, he could recognize the level of the dragon. He did not expect Li Lingtian to reach the level of the Yinglong Incarnation. The only explanation was that Li Lingtian had cultivated a genuine dragon tribe's cultivation technique. The power of the flying rain dragon could destroy the world. The dragon energy's suppression had reached its peak. Li Lingtian's true dragon body barrier was now at level 6, which was equivalent to the first firmament martial god realm. In the sky, the destructive pressure of the dragon's might filled the entire world. The dragon's might was not weaker than the green-robed scholar at the third firmament of the war god realm. Instead, it was even more overbearing. "Green-robed scholar, I underestimated you last time. This time, show me your true abilities." Li Lingtian's winged dragon form flapped its huge wings and its destructive claws tore through space. His voice was as loud as thunder, like a dragon roaring in the sky. The destructive dragon's might continued to press down on him, as he looked at the blue-robed scholar with a domineering aura. "Alright, you were lucky to escape last time. I want to see how powerful your Yinglong Incarnation is." The blue-robed scholar looked at the Yinglong Incarnation in the sky, and then at Lin Zhirong. He knew his current situation. It was obvious that Lin Zhirong was on Li Lingtian's side. Furthermore, Li Lingtian had transformed into the flying dragon, and was extremely powerful. It was impossible for them to defeat him so easily. The only way was to defeat Li Lingtian and find a way to leave this place. The war god's pride and dignity did not make him cower in the slightest. The pressure from his entire body erupted, continuously colliding with the dragon's might of the Yinglong. Rumble. In the void, the blue-robed scholar was like a god of war. The destructive might of the god of war erupted, causing the world to tremble. The dragon's might was like the might of the heavens. The dragon's might emitted by the huge Yinglong, coupled with the shocking dragon Qi, instantly resisted the pressure of the blue-robed scholar. Waves of pressure bombarded him. The world was torn apart. Lin Zhirong and Bei Minxue were shocked and quickly retreated. Although the two of them knew that Li Lingtian was powerful, they did not expect him to be this powerful. Moreover, the battle between the two people in the air completely exceeded the battle between ordinary experts. This was a battle of life and death. Roar! The Yinglong roared violently, and a shocking dragon might pressed down from the sky. The clouds in the sky turned into dark clouds, and thunder surged into the sky. The power of the war god. The blue-robed scholar's expression was solemn. He shouted and unleashed the shocking power of the martial god. The power of the martial god stirred the world and a destructive power bombarded the Yinglong. The power of the Yinglong. The Yinglong did not hesitate at all when it saw the destructive power of the martial god attack. It grabbed at the air with its huge claws. At this moment a huge crack appeared in the world. 6 huge winged dragons appeared from the void and fiercely met the power of the martial god. There were 6 Yinglong that were 100 meters long. These Yinglong were not the embodiment of the Yinglong, but the attack unleashed by the Yinglong. The air was distorted by the 2 destructive attacks. In the time it took to suck, the 2 attacks collided. When the 6 winged dragons collided with the martial god's power, they instantly fused together. Instantly an aura that could destroy the heavens and earth exploded, and a terrifying wind raged. Rumble! Kacha kacha! After a loud explosion the space was torn apart, and cracking sounds could be heard. Lin Zhirong and Bei Minxue were both pushed back by the destructive force. At that moment, the azure-robed layman swayed his body and was thrown backward. Li Lingtian, who had transformed into a winged dragon, shuddered but did not take a single step back. With this attack, the strength and defense between the two were on full display. The third firmament martial god's attack could destroy the world, but Li Lingtian's Yinglong form was equally terrifying. Such an attack would destroy any first firmament war god it encountered. With one move, Li Lingtian possessed a terrifying defense and strength, giving him a slight advantage. On the other hand, the layman in cyan robe was not injured despite retreating. Tear! A dignified voice sounded. The Yinglong's huge claws ruthlessly clawed in the direction of the blue-robed scholar, and a huge hole was instantly torn in the space. This spatial crack happened to appear behind the blue-robed scholar. His retreating figure was caught off guard and fell into the spatial crack. Rumble! When the blue-robed scholar entered the spatial rift, the Yinglong flapped its huge wings, and a destructive wind appeared, instantly closing the spatial rift. At the same time its huge body also bombarded the crack. The space shook and then shattered like a mirror. Yinglong's control of space had already reached the extreme. It almost ignored the distance of space and directly tore through the void. His strength broke through the firmament and traveled 1,000 miles in an instant. In an instant the Yinglong's huge body arrived in front of the crack, and its 100-meter-long tail smashed fiercely into the crack. The huge tail brought with it destructive dragon energy as it ruthlessly struck the crack. Boom! The earth-shattering explosion shook the earth. The destructive dragon energy hit the crack hard. At this time the blue-robed scholar struggled out of the crack, and his struggling body hit the tail. One was not on guard and the other was on purpose. Under one attack, the azure-robed scholar was instantly reduced to ashes. Blood spurted out, and his body was thrown out like a kite with a broken string. In the air, the blood that the blue-robed scholar spat out turned into a blood curtain, and his body swayed. 1,000 miles in an instant. Tear! The Yinglong had no intention of stopping. With a flick of its huge tail its body disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already behind the blue-robed scholar. This was the terror of the Yinglong. It could travel 1,000 miles in an instant and ignore the distance of space. He controlled space and almost dominated martial artists and all living things. The huge body did not have any aura or spatial fluctuations. When it arrived behind the blue-robed scholar, the blue-robed scholar did not know at all. The huge claw made a tearing motion toward the blue-robed scholar who was sent flying. It pulled fiercely, and a huge hole appeared in the space. Shifting form, transposition. Golden cicada shedding its shell. Sensing the aura of death and dragon energy, the azure-robed scholar's heart trembled. At this moment, he no longer dared to underestimate Li Lingtian. After being tricked a few times, he had fully unleashed the martial god's spirit power. Phew! In the air, the blue-robed scholar's entire body turned into a bloody curtain. At this moment, space seemed to have stopped. The blue-robed scholar, who was about to enter the spatial rift, stopped strangely. His body twisted strangely and disappeared from the world. This strange action shocked Lin Zhirong and Bei Mingxue. The two of them cast a terrifying defense on the horizon, as they watched the battle between Li Lingtian and the blue-robed scholar in horror. Both of them were the favored sons and daughters of the heavens, and were also super martial god powerhouses. They never expected that Li Lingtian and the blue-clothed scholar would engage in such a huge battle. The blue-robed scholar's figure turned into a curtain and disappeared. The world temporarily fell silent. The Yinglong floated in the air, its huge tail wagging non-stop. "Come out!" The huge eyeballs scanned the surroundings, but there was no sign of the blue-robed scholar in the air. However, at this moment, a violent roar sounded, and the huge tail smashed towards a place with the power to tear through space. Rumble! The tail struck down with an explosive sound. The huge tail seemed to have hit a huge mountain. The azure-robed scholar appeared in the air as well. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, but a treasure the size of a small mountain appeared in his hand. The Yinglong's attack landed on the treasure that was the size of a small mountain. "I underestimated you." The azure-robed scholar's face was pale, and blood kept flowing out. He looked at Yinglong coldly. He did not expect that a second sky of the martial saint realm expert would cultivate such a terrifying dragon race cultivation method. Moreover, he had even transformed into a Yinglong. The Yinglong had powerful control over space, and its power could tear apart the world. Being suppressed by Yinglong for a moment, he had already lost all his face. Third firmament war god. Nothing more than this. "You've embarrassed the war god." Yinglong's voice sounded, and his eyes revealed a disdainful expression. At that moment he was extremely cautious. Even though his strength and defense had increased after his incarnation, Yinglong was still Li Lingtian. If a third firmament war god were to get serious, it would indeed be difficult to deal with. His attack just now had been blocked by the other party. He had lost the initiative and did not dare to make the first move. The only thing he could do was to unleash his terrifying dragon chi, and use the destructive dragon might to suppress the blue-robed scholar, forcing him to make a move and infuriating him at the same time. "Alright, then I'll show you the might of the war god. The power of darkness, the will of darkness." The expression on the blue-robed scholar's face changed several times. The mountain-like treasure in his hand blocked in front of him, and his terrifying true essence began to reverse. The damage that he had received had strangely disappeared at this time, and his entire spirit had reached its peak state. At this moment, a dark aura appeared in the world. The dark aura corroded the entire world. In an instant, the world darkened and then turned pitch black. There wasn't even a single ray of light. This darkness was completely incomparable to the darkness of the night. It blocked all light, and the air seemed to have turned black. When the black-robed scholar appeared, he disappeared completely as if he had fused into the darkness. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.